morning. Good morning.
There goes the Daverhood.
And there was much rejoicing.
Didn't your meds kick in yet?
We got David Lefkowitz here. He's a Long Island arts guy. He's got his own radio show.
I want you all to really enjoy a wonderful program done by a fine artist.
A glorious thing of unparalleled beauty.
Dave's gone by. Dave is one of my very favorite broadcasters, so keep on listening to Mr. Dave.
Tropical hot dog night.
Well, there goes the Daverhood. Greetings, everybody, and welcome.
You're a little twisted.
I'm always a little twisted. Welcome. Yes, I'm wearing this very special, very beautiful potato costume today. It's not Potato Day. That's still 3 months away. However, and let me get the back of it.
Oh, God, yes.
Beautiful, huh?
Sexy.
Because I am transitioning. I'm thinking about the surgery, and eventually I do want to become a full-fledged potato. And this is kind of the beginning. This is where I'm going to live like a potato, eat like I've got my ketchup over there.
Yes.
There's butter in the fridge. And by the way, welcome to Cindy and Lynn and Jennifer and Joan. Hold on. See, I've got to learn to drink it straight. So, just give me a sec. Usually, this is less spicy than some of the others.
Yes.
And yet it still has a kick.
Oh, someone gave you a thumbs up.
Thumbs up for potatoes. Welcome to Catherine and Kenny and Stevie and Fred and Lorraine and Tony and all these fine folks. There we go. I think that's... I look like a sperm now. I don't know. Anyway, it's a Dave's Gone By radio show. You know what it is. Oh, and welcome to Nikki. My goodness. If that is who I think it is, that's a pretty well-known playwright. Well, welcome to Nikki as well, and to all the folks tuning in on this Saturday, June 16th, which is not only a day for me to wear a potato costume.
A lot of people like it. Look at that.
Yeah, well, why wouldn't they?
Yeah.
Dear. Because...
Oh, a lot of love.
Yeah. Because I feel spuddy. Oh, so spuddy. I feel, ow. I can't see when I turn this way. I just turn into the costume. Just to get my nose like this.
No, you need to see, honey, because you can't do
like the monks in Monty Python and the Holy Grail. All right, so, anywho, what's going to be on this episode of the Dave's Gone By radio program this week? Well, yeah, this is my wife, Joyce, who's going to be fixing me. And this is... There's nothing that she would rather be doing today, which happens to be... Dun, 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 dun. Everybody, with all the thumbs up, with all the best wishes and all the people tuning in, please wish my darling and adorable wife, Joyce, a happy birthday. Happy birthday to you.
I see half your face.
Happy birthday.
You can do it later.
Actually, I could sing the real happy birthday.
No,
that's public domain now.
No, it's okay.
Well, anyway, wish her, please. Julia, wish Joyce a very happy birthday. Julia from, I'm not going to say last names.
Oh, yes.
Right. But anyway, welcome to everyone on this June 16th, Bloomsday also. We're not going to be ringing...
James Joyce's Bloomsday.
We're not ringing James Joyce
today.
Thus
the name Joyce.
Well, there you go.
Right.
No, but instead of ringing Ulysses, we're going to be ringing a cow for Hansel again. I should probably ring from Ulysses.
Oh, tell Julia thank you.
Thank you, Julia. Thank you so much. And let's see, what else should I... Oh, let me make sure this is recording at a fine volume rate. There we go. Let's try that. Oh, no, that's just the feedback on me, isn't it? There we go. And welcome to Kat and to all the other folks. Let me tell you what's going to be on this episode of the program. It's called A Matter of TRUS. Ooh. Now, it's not because I had a hernia 22 years ago where I almost had to wear a truss for a couple of weeks. No, our guest in the Daverhood is someone who's very... provocative, more provocative even than wearing a potato costume. As a matter of fact, on stage, she often wears much, much less than a potato costume as a provocative idea for someone who has taken feminism into her own hands and also essentially uses her act to counter male aggression in society. She was raped at one point. So she turns that back around on everyone in her work. Her name is Adrienne Truscott, and she's going to be at Joe's Pub on June 24th.
Performing or singing?
She's a comedian, performance
'cause I was
artist.
going to say, it's mostly a cabaret. That's,
Well, she's done that.
Yeah,
She was
that's
part
what
of the
I mean.
Wow Wow Sisters for a while, and it's very in your face. I mean, not literally, because usually she isn't wearing pants, but she's...
English tea time.
Joyce, you want to show your tea thing? Look, Joyce is having her little birthday mug of tea. But she's funny, but she's also pretty damn serious about what she's discussing. And in this era of Me Too, well, more like Her Too, it's not really, won't really count me. It's women, hashtag women too. It's a cool thing that she will be with us in the Daverhood talking about her shows, which the latest one is called A One Trick Pony, because the thing was her first big solo performance that she did all over the world was essentially an hour or so of rape jokes.
Oh, God.
Honest to God. Because if anybody can tell a rape joke, it's someone who's been raped, right?
But what's the second part?
But that's the thing. This is the show that questions, is that all people will expect of me? Is that going to be my thing? Am I a one-trick pony?
Like a one-hit wonder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Am I just going to
like
dip
that.
back in the rape well,
Good
or do
for
I have
her.
other stuff to talk about? So that's she's going to be with us. Adrienne Truscott
Wow.
will be with us in the Daverhood. I have some background on her. I think I do a little more. She's done circus work. She's taught at Wesleyan and the Sarah Lawrence and Yale.
Who hasn't?
Yale, which rejected my college application 40 years ago. Thank you, Yale. Anyway,
Hey.
I hate Harvard and Yale.
I love the Ivies.
I know you love the Ivies. Well, because they let you in. You went to Columbia.
That's right.
I went to NYU, which I like to think of as like pre-Ivy,
No.
almost Ivy.
It's like a weed.
It's a weed.
It's
It's a weed that wants to be Ivy.
Yes.
Meanwhile, it was my safe school.
It's like if you go to Michael's and you get plastic ivy.
Yeah, all right, fine. Meanwhile, when NYU buys up Columbia's land at some
It
point
won't buy
and owns
Columbia.
all of New York,
It will not buy Columbia.
you'll come crawling on your
Columbia,
bloody
listen,
knees. Yeah.
Columbia and NYU have hooked up to make a hospital system.
Really?
It's the New York Presbyterian, which is New York Hospital,
Yeah.
New York like university hospitals,
Yeah.
and Columbia. So they've made the biggest university hospital-based system.
Why would a hospital have any religion? There's like New York Jewish, and then why would you have a Presbyterian hospital? What about it?
Because that's how Columbia began. That's the relationship of how Columbia began as an
But
institution.
Columbus monks.
No, Fordham's.
Fordham's monks. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, Columbia should be non-sectarian. It's
But it
a.
began with some, I guess, leanings.
I want a presbyter IV. What does that even mean? You know?
You want a potato IV.
I mean, New York Jewish Hospital, you're sick, they give you chicken soup. I get it, right? Speaking of Jewish, I am not going to be the one interviewing Adrienne Truscott. The person who has that honor is Jewish. He's the amazing Rabbi Sol Solomon, founder and spiritual leader of Temple Sons of Bitches in Great Neck, New York. So it's going to be and he, of course, did his own one-man show off Broadway a couple of years ago. So the guy who did Shalom Dammit will be the guy talking to the woman who did Asking for It and One Trick Pony. It's not a chicken alert. Why are you giving me...
You think he's eating your snack. He's
Oh.
eating your...
Oh, that's...
Chickens love potatoes.
Do they?
Yes.
I thought they like meal. They like corn.
Oh, look who's coming out, too.
Oh, Joyce got me these little finger puppets, just in case I ever needed them. Welcome to John, of course, and Raymond, and Ruth, and Joseph, and Gregory, and Kat. Here's Sheepy. Yeah, oh, that's sweet. Yeah.
They're eating you because you're a potato.
Now, how do you feel? I'm not going to tell people how old you are,
Yeah.
but how do you feel being a year older today, your birthday?
I wish it was a milestone birthday.
That's coming
Yeah.
shortly. Why do you wish that?
Because it's bigger.
Oh, okay. Yeah, well, can you think of something that you want to do for your milestone birthday 365 days from today?
I don't know.
Wow. Think about it.
It's not even my real birthday because I was premature, so I should have been born in September. So I feel like it's not my real birthday ever in June. I should have been born in
It
September.
doesn't matter. It doesn't matter when you should have been born. You know?
I should get 2 birthdays.
Okay, some people do that. Why can people do that? I know my Aunt Sadie, my late and beloved Aunt Sadie, she died when she was, I think, in her late 20s, early 30s because she was born on a leap day.
Oh, but that's different.
And she celebrated only every 4 years.
Wow.
So when she was 12 years old, she was actually only 3 when she was,
Oh my God.
Yeah, we loved it. I mean, it wasn't great for her probably growing up.
No.
Because she have to
parties,
either not celebrate or celebrate on the 28th.
Yeah. That's mean.
But I wonder if it works the other way around. Who gets double birthdays?
So I should have been born in September, so I could have a June and September birthday.
Well, wait, how do we have a premature birthday party for you?
This is my premature party.
It's like, if it's a surprise party, everybody says surprise before you walk in.
That's right.
Like we do everything early. We open your presents and then you come.
Yes, exactly.
Not sure how
you'll all
that's
eat by the time I get there.
Yeah. Welcome, by the way, to Phyllis and all these wonderful people who are tuning in to hear, hopefully, me and Adrienne Truscott.
Show them the full potato look. Give them the full potato
All right, yeah.
look.
If you haven't seen it yet, I am in my
here.
special birthday, my wife's birthday potato costume. Oh, boy. Let me get the chair out of the way.
Yeah. Put your hood on, your potato hood.
Okay. Oh, they're red, they're white, they're brown. They grow that way underground. There's not that much to do. In fact, they have blue ones, too. Potato, potato, potato. I forget the name. Was that... Who sang that song?
Papa Sin Ketchup.
Oh, Papa Sin Ketchup is another classic. And, of course, the Wiggles hot potato, hot potato, hot potato, hot potato, potato. And making a very special appearance also, in honor of your birthday and in honor of this costume, His Royal Highness, the Grand Knish. Thank you. Thank you. I hereby bequeath upon thee, Joyce, a most happy and healthy and beautiful day of birth.
Thank you, Knish.
You may kneel and kiss my shoe.
I'm not, no. First of all, they're like John Gotti sneakers, and they're pink. I'm sorry, potato.
Do you want to feed him?
No.
He has his bottle, and he's a little
he ate
hungry.
already.
Oh, okay.
He ate at home.
I can always have more. Okay, here we go. I'm going to feed the Grand Knish for a moment. This is just clarified butter. All right. Oh, hold on. Just a sec. Okay. Okay.
Good Lord.
Yeah, well.
That was not Grand Knishi.
Well, he ate quickly today. Let me tell you what else is going to be on this insane radio program of the stream. We'll have our weekly Saturday segue of songs in the news. That's a lot of fun, where I'll play snippets of songs that you have to wonder, why Dave play that this week? What happened in the news this week that would make Dave think of that particular song? Also, as we said, no, we won't be reading from Ulysses. We'll be reading more from A Cow for Hansel by the great Erna Hollier. We will go inside Broadway for News of the Rialto. If you were here last week, you know we did our annual Togal Theater Tony special. And if you missed it, you can go listen in the archives, even though you'll know now who won. And we'll talk about who won on the Tony Awards last Sunday night.
The shockers. You were shocked.
There were a couple.
You had some shockers, yeah.
And I had an acupuncturist check my shockers for...
No, it would be a chakra.
Oh, chakra?
Chakra.
Chakra Khan, Chakra, yeah.
My friend saw Shaka Khan.
When? Where?
Playing in a jazz festival.
Recently?
Yeah.
How was she?
Good.
Okay. Was she telling me something good? That was Rufus, right? Yeah, that was with her.
She was like, I feel for you. I think I love you. Like that.
Yeah. And what else are we doing on the show? We've got, a new limerick, a Colorado limerick of the damned.
Which town?
We're doing Aurora today.
Aurora is hard. That's a hard one to rhyme with.
We find them. We manage. See, every week we pick another town or city in Colorado and create a disgusting little limerick about it. And so we've done places like, a lot of the A's. We did Aspen. We did
Alt.
Oh, we did Alt.
Alt.
Which somewhere Fault was in the and let's see,
Aurora.
Well, that's today. Alamosa, I think.
Yeah,
we did Alamosa.
One, yeah.
So today we're up to Aurora, and we have a lot of these.
Brighton, a lot of bees.
Those are common.
Okay.
All these are all the way down. Wow. We've got about 70 of them. So we'll be doing this for more than a year, ladies and gentlemen. Colorado Limericks of the Damned. Wow. So it's going to be a really, really cool show.
You should also put up your picture where you rode the horse in the Loveland Museum. Did you copy that?
I can't really... I have to put it on that computer.
Put it on your website.
Yeah, once I get all that stuff going. What I do want to do is, first of all, do we want to talk about anything in particular? We can, let's see. A quick shout out, though. I was talking about the the Tony show that we did last week.
You had really great guests. Really interesting.
And I hope I remember. I think I remember to thank everybody, but thank everybody who
They were great.
participated. Lynn Collins from the Arvada Center, and all my critic friends like Charlie and Leslie and Eva and Simon,
Ed,
and Zach,
Ed
my new
Rubin.
friend Zach, Ed Rubin, yep, and McCall, and forgive me if I'm
the
forgetting.
one Giantelli.
Oh, Elizabeth Vinchentelli
Yes.
and Joe Demanowitz of the Daily News, they all took part.
It's really interesting.
And we had so many people watching, and we had a couple of winners from our giveaway.
Did they win which ones did they win?
Well, here's the deal. We had 2 books to give away. They were souvenir books that you get at Broadway
They're like
theaters.
$20-$30.
Well, yeah, or maybe they jack the
More.
prices up. Who knows what they charge
for
at the
Tony.
theater. But they're souvenir books. They're not the playbills. They're big, glossy, color photograph
like behind
books.
the scenes kind of stuff.
Yeah. It's like a commemorative thing. If you pay $180 for a ticket to a Broadway show, it evaporates once you leave the doorway.
Maybe they sign it. Maybe
Yeah.
you could get the people to sign it.
Perhaps. So here are the people who won last week. So winning the Denzel Washington, well, it's really the Iceman Cometh booklet, was Steve. So congratulations to Steve on that. And his entry, thing was, it was a random drawing, but we did ask our listeners or people who were going to participate to answer a question. And the question was, if you were to cast a new Broadway revival of The Odd Couple,
Who would he put?
with anyone living or dead
Whoa.
playing Felix and Oscar, who would it be?
Who would it be, Steve?
And Steve, his entry, again, it didn't win because it was my favorite. It won because it was random drawing. But he said, this is really great. Leslie Howard, if you remember him from Gone with the Wind, right? And Danny DeVito.
What a combo.
I know, right? And Danny DeVito's done the Sunshine Boys, so I totally get it. So Leslie Howard, Danny DeVito for The Odd Couple. I can see it.
I'm trying to think who I would put. I don't know.
I can see so many Oscars. Like, I could totally see Zach Galifianakis playing Oscar, in terms of new, recent people, right? Or who's that other comedy guy?
I think Betty Davis should be Oscar.
Betty Davis? Oh,
Yes.
female.
And she could just smoke.
Joan Crawford and Betty Davis.
Yes,
that would be something.
Yeah,
you should have entered the contest.
I couldn't because I'm married to you.
Oh.
Who
Grand
won the other
Kanish
one?
would be
Who won
Oscar.
the other one?
The winner of the Three Tall Women book was Nancy. And the question there was, I asked, she kind of fudged a little bit on this. I said, since every movie now is being made into a musical, what's a movie, famous or not, that you would like to see turned into a Broadway musical? So she answered the question, she fudged it a little. She didn't say musical.
Silence of the Lambs?
It's been done.
I know.
There's been a musical of Silence of the Lambs. There's been a musical of, God, everything. Because people don't think, they say, isn't The Band's Visit wonderful? And it is a wonderful show. But isn't it extra wonderful because it's not based on, a big famous movie? No, it's based on a little non-famous movie, as opposed to Mean Girls. Et cetera.
What's the one with the girl who goes to law school?
Oh, yes. Oh, my.
Ellie
Reese
something.
Witherspoon
Yeah, Ellie something.
There was even a sequel, I think.
Chosen? Charmed?
No. And you know what? The Chosen was made into a musical.
I'd like to see the Dybbuk made into a musical.
Me too. That would be fun.
I'd like to see some dancing Dibbai.
Or hey, it's James Joyce. They made a musical of James Joyce's The Dead.
God.
One of the greatest short stories ever written. Just about this couple, they have problems. It's a party. They made it was good. James Lapine wrote the book.
James Joyce is an excellent writer.
Yeah, but and they made Ulysses in Nighttown. I don't know if that was a musical. It might have just been a comedy with Zero Mostel. They did not do Finnegan's Wake the musical.
Clueless?
Just the Clancy Brothers did a song about it.
Is that movie called Clueless? No.
Funny you should mention it. Clueless the musical is going to happen this coming season.
God.
But I know what you're thinking of it. So, God, people are watching and messaging at home and watching the show. What was the movie with Reese Witherspoon who goes to law school, and they made a very popular musical about it?
She has the little dog in there.
Yes.
I'm going to look it up on my phone. I can't take it.
Yeah, this is killing me. But anyway, that was a movie first. and Legally Blonde.
Oh, you got it. Good
Legally Blonde.
job.
So I'm saying everybody knows that particular movie. But even things that are small things, small films, like Kinky Boots. Kinky Boots was a movie before that became a musical. The question was, if you could take a movie that isn't a musical, if there are any left, and make it into a musical, which would it be? And Nancy answered, she didn't do a musical, but she would like to see The Big Chill adapted into a stage play. And I think that could work as kind of an ensemble piece.
Yeah.
That'd be a James Lapine kind of, or even a Langford Wilson. Well, he's gone, but...
Edwin Albee.
Oh, who did I say? I made a big boo-boo a week or two ago. And I played a song and make sort of a flippant comment as like, oh, it'd be great to hear this person again, etc. But, they've been long dead. And the person wasn't dead at all.
Whoopsie.
It was it was a musician who, didn't make it but didn't quite make it, and now I forget who that was. But I do apologize to calling someone out dead when they certainly were not. They're just not particularly well known anymore. My big oops.
Yeah.
Anyway, so what else do we want to talk about? It's your birthday, so do we really want to talk about the Jersey Shore and the dirty little hamster girl?
No.
We're not going to talk about...
Please, no.
Too early in the morning to talk about what happened to her? No.
Let's do that next week.
Next week.
Yes.
Next week. You never saw the image, the thing I wanted to send you, and you wouldn't let me send to your...
no, to any account that I read.
Yeah. Well, by the way, and welcome to Joe. Now, Joe, I'm wondering also, is that your first name or last name? Or is that your first and middle name and you don't put your last name?
Or Jolinda might be good-looking Joe, pretty Joe.
See. Okay, well, now if it is your last name, we've just given out your last name. So we could type in your social security number and also blood type.
Yes.
What else do we need? First four of your soch.
Yes.
Or last four of your soch.
Yes.
Anyway, so we've talked about all that. I say, what are you looking for?
I can't read.
It's hard to read, I know.
Yeah.
I can spin it a little bit.
It's okay.
Okay. I'm going to get this in a better position there, angle that better, because I think it's time that we did some Greeley crimes in old times, don't you? Would help if I turn the volume up. Blah, da, da, da. Blah, da, da, da. You know that Tom Waits music is the signal for Greeley Crimes in Old Times. Now, this is a segment that we do every week here in the Daverhood, and it's courtesy of our local newspaper, the Greeley Tribune. And they do two different articles every week. One of them is called Cop Log. Doesn't that sound delightful in the morning? Yeah. Cop Log, where they compile phone calls that come into the Greeley and Weld County Police Dispatch from people needing help, and they need help in ways that you can't even imagine. And then there's also a cool column called 100 Years Ago, where they go through the newspaper from 1918, and they pull out the most nostalgic, goofiest, craziest things that were in the actual Greeley Tribune Republican, as it was called back then, from 10 decades prior.
Wow.
What's the opposite of hence? 10 decades pre-hence.
Yes, pre-hence.
Pre-hence, okay.
Prehensile.
Is it yeah, oh, you stole my pun, but it's your birthday and I'll allow you to do it.
Thank you.
All right. Are you ready, my dear?
Yes.
On your birthday. This will be a birthday Greeley Crimes and Old Times. Okay? Oh, honey, we're going to begin. I don't think we have the image for it. We don't have the special finger puppet for it. But we do have a squirrel alert. Well, I don't think we've ever had a squirrel alert, but this is a squirrel alert. We started doing these because there was a psycho squirrel that was stalking me outside another building in this university. I couldn't get in the door because was holding, nice husband that I am, I bring my wife a peanut butter sandwich.
I called and begged you for food.
Well, yeah. And I'm holding it in a baggie, and this squirrel is eyeing me. And you know how squirrels are? You look at them, you step your foot, they go away. No. This one started zigzagging in front of and behind me in sort of like this square-ish diagonal pattern. Like, I know that sandwich is for me, says the squirrel. And I had to call my wife and say, open the door, get me in here. So we have a squirrel alert, ladies and gentlemen. Police responded to a home on 9th Avenue regarding a squirrel that was chewing through the screen in the caller's window.
Oh my God.
However, and as so often happens, the squirrel fled by the time police arrived.
Wow.
So there's an APB, there's pictures in the post office.
At least that squirrel's not one of the stalker squirrels. He's
I
a
know.
normal squirrel.
Yeah. Well, what was he doing in the screen, though? I don't know. Now,
What?
police were called to 55th Avenue and 1st Street because...
55th and 1st.
Yeah.
That's a new one.
A prairie dog
Yeah.
was stuck in the caller's windowsill.
How did...
I don't know how I don't know how.
Stuck?
Stuck. Like, and couldn't, turn around. Like Snooky the manatee in the tank.
You sure it wasn't our neighbor?
Well, here's the deal. The caller wanted to know
Yeah.
if he could shoot it with a shotgun. First of all, wouldn't you blow out your window if you did that? Second of all, what kind of sick, cruel human being would shoot a little marmot prairie dog, even if it was stuck in your window? Incroyable. No, wait, there was another... there was one I definitely wanted to read. Where is it? Oh, we'll get to it. I'm sure. Okay.
Yeah.
A woman called police because her husband went to a flea market, quote, an hour and a half ago, and she wanted to make sure he got there.
Oh my God.
Yeah. It's kind of a clingy. And, however...
Her GPS wasn't working. She put in his phone, right?
But here's the kicker.
Oh, no.
She refused to provide her husband's contact information. So it's like, can you go? And like,
yeah, but how do you even know where the flea market is?
Well, I assume she would know. How many flea markets do we have in this town?
Oh, not a yard sale?
No, flea market.
Oh,
so it's
okay.
probably only one or two. So, but if they're not going, she's not giving her husband's cell phone.
How do they know who he is then?
Exactly. Well, it's obviously her husband. So I guess they can go to the flea market and call out his last name.
Oh, God. Is anyone's husband here? Because the wife wants to know if you're here. Anyone's husband?
Okay. Now, here we go. This is the one I was looking for.
Okay.
This may sound rather familiar. Animal control officers responded to 21st Street and 18th Avenue for a report of a raccoon that jumped off the caller's second-story roof. Now, this is weird. The caller told dispatchers the raccoon was living in one of her walls with the baby raccoons. She was worried that the mama raccoon might be injured and might become separated from her babies. But here's the deal. We know these people.
Yes.
Why? But this woman who called in the complaint is not the person who actually has the complaint of the raccoons in the walls.
Because they were too busy dealing with their septic system complaints.
But notice the difference. A guy gets a marmot stuck in his window. He wants to shoot it with a shotgun. Our neighbor is like, oh, God, the mother's separated from the babies. It's like the immigrants on the wall.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
God help us all.
I wish he would. But you know what he's helping us with?
Your balloon?
Well, I'm going to let you do your hair because this is going to be...
Oh, no.
Is my honky ooga horn around? Let me get the honky ooga horn. Oh, by the way, welcome to Steve and to Jay and to all the folks who are tuning in on this Saturday where it is 9:30 in the morning, Mountain Time, here in Greeley, Colorado. You're watching the 655th episode of the Dave's Gone By show featuring me as a potato today and with a... Hold your ears. Hobo alert! Hobo alert! This is exciting. We haven't had one of these in a long time.
Here's your hobo.
Oh, that's right. There's our hobo from 100 years ago in this town. He's looking for a manger, or a whore to call his girlfriend. Here he is. So, because what happened was when we first started doing this segment, and we would do the Greeley 100 years ago, half the stories were about policemen harassing hobos or getting them out of town or forcing them to join the military. So I'm going to put this hobo on my index finger here.
And tell him what the other half was.
Oh, Daddy, I like it.
Tell him what the other half were.
The other half, this is for the chicken alert.
But that's the other half of
the
stories.
The other stories, and those can be modern too, are when things involving chickens. But this is not the chicken. Here's the chicken. Here's the hobo. So the hobo, this is hobo's time, not chicken's time. Yeah. Okay. So, hobo alert. An old prisoner of Police Chief Ben Florence, who was pinched 12 years ago.
That's painful.
I know, right? Well, here, I'll do it. Ah! He's back in court. Although he is in good health, the prisoner continued to mooch off the women on the street. And he was found guilty of vagrancy. Whoa. Oh. So you can't ask, back then you couldn't ask people for handouts or the appeal of women.
Wow.
Like that show. You're watching that Happy Valley, the guy who's in, this British murder drama.
Who's a vagrant?
He wasn't a vagrant, but he's this guy who appeals to these lonely women.
No, he's a sociopath.
Yeah. Well, maybe this moocher guy is too. Could be. You never know. Yeah. Anyway, speaking of sociopaths, I'm Dave Lefkowitz. This is my wife, Joyce. And we're doing the Dave's Gone By program, and we're in the midst of Greeley crimes and old times. Police received a call from a man who wanted to know if it was legal to practice with ninja swords.
We must have a wait. Hold on. We have
in a public park.
We have.
Yep.
We have. So I'll tell you. We have. The guy who's the fire kettle juggler. He juggles fire.
Yeah.
He practices in our park without the fire. So he has the music and the kettlebells. He flings them, but there's no fire.
Oh, practicing without the fire.
I know.
It's like having a Holocaust with no Jews in it. It's like, this beautiful empty ovens.
No, but
it doesn't work.
I think you can't do it in a park.
No,
I don't think you can practice with ninja swords either.
Well, look what happened to the policeman who was dancing with a loaded gun in his pocket.
He got Franklin Diazar.
to represent you, it's true. Let's see, what else we got here? And a man report... Now this is why I try, even though I don't have the time to do it anymore, this is why I try to slip in a little bit of grammar when I teach English composition here at UNC. Good. This is the kind of thing where... You have to make your sentences clear.
Okay, I'll try.
This is from the Tribune. This recent.
Mm-hmm.
A man reported someone threw a shoe at his car and claimed to be police.
Okay.
So, who's the policeman? Well, nobody is actually in this scenario.
I don't know.
But here's the deal. A man claimed someone threw a shoe at his car and claimed to be police.
The shoe's the policeman.
The shoe is that's it. There's your antecedent. Good, well done.
Thank you.
Okay.
All those years of private education not wasted.
And Columbia. Let's not forget Columbia, Ms. Ivy League.
I was taught by the Jesuits and taught by nuns.
Okay. And presbyters.
If I can find survive nuns.
If I can survive Elvis Presby.
They used to make me.
Well, it's one for Jesus, two for.
No, they used to make me come in early and tutor calculus.
Oh my God!
Yeah, that's what I did every morning at 7:00 in 8th grade.
7?
No, it was and math. It was just math, and then calculus was high school.
You did calculus in high school?
I did calculus, and then I tried to get out of calculus to take driver's ed, but then they made me take driver's ed at 7:00 and calculus at 8 because calculus was earlier than math class.
I didn't realize you took driver's ed in high school. How come you didn't? I didn't get my license then either. Why didn't you?
Because I moved to the island and I just took buses. I didn't.
I was wondering about that. Okay. Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my goodness. Get your bell ready.
You got the bell, babe.
I have the bell. Do you have the honky ooga horn? What do I do with the ooga horn?
Right there, hon.
Ooga horn. Because you know what it's time for? It's time for chicken alert. Chicken alert. Let's get the horn. Oh, there we go. Okay.
Oh, I just put that near me. I'm deaf now.
Yeah. You can hold the chicken if you want to put it near the screen here. Oh, bawk, 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 bawk. Chicken farmers around the country have been losing chickens to chicken cholera. And there is no surefire cure. If you suspect your chicken of having the disease, it is best, it's best to kill the birds and burn the carcasses. Dun, bok, ba, bok, 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 bok. Aw.
Oh, you made someone mad.
Ain't nobody dead but them chickens. Oh, Couch Potato Chicken is really upset. Do you believe that they let me near students? Anyway, yeah. So Couch Potato is very happy with me today because I'm wearing, obviously, my potato costume. And by the way, welcome to Steve, Jay, David, and Carol, and all the folks who are watching on this Saturday, June 16th. My wife's, oh, actually, I point this way because she's sitting here, but on the screen, she's this way. And I can't even, there. Yeah, that hand is my wife's. Happy birthday, my love, my darling, who allows me to engage.
And who bought you that costume?
This. She did. She got me this on the internet. My beautiful potato costume here on Dave's Gone By. Thank you, sweetie.
You're welcome.
See, it's her birthday. I get the gift.
Yeah.
That's the way it's supposed to work, ladies and gentlemen. Okay. Anyway.
And I get to go to the gym. Yay.
Oh, yeah. Let's see. Did you know that the Bull House Dry Goods Company?
Oh, yes. My favorite. I always shop
Isn't
there.
it? Yeah, me too.
Yeah, they have good bush rum, boom, blah, boom, blobs.
Well, they're having, quote, the most amazing money-saving opportunity ever known in Greeley.
What is it?
Ever known in Greeley.
Is it?
The women's dress sale begins Monday under the slogan.
Oh.
Now, if you're selling dresses,
Yeah.
what might be a slogan?
We make you look beautiful.
That's very nice.
Dress for less. Dresses for less.
Dresses for less. Dress for success.
Yes.
Pretty is as pretty does. Maybe that would.
Look good, feel good.
Yeah. Make babies and this be fruitful. I mean, it's 100 years ago.
Turn this mother out.
That would work. No, their slogan is, know the truth and the truth will make you free. How does that sell dresses? How does that sell anything?
Unless you're a suffragette, maybe.
Maybe.
You dig it.
I don't know how that would be a money-saving opportunity. If the dresses were free rather than the truth, that would be a money-saving opportunity, I'll tell you. Anyway, let's go elsewhere.
Ooh.
Let's go elsewhere, because we do Greeley crimes at old times, but we also occasionally want to let people know of things that are happening far away from Greeley, Colorado. Now, you remember Paul the octopus. Paul the psychic octopus, who used to be able to decide
Give me your finger.
the World Cup. Here's Paul. Paul, who has ascended to heaven. He really does look like an angel.
Bring him closer so they can see.
Okay, I'll do it again.
Show them their cute little
I'm trying to get his head. Yeah.
There you go.
Oh, there we go. That's better. Okay. Here's Paul. Paul the... Let me turn him around that way. Okay. Good old Paul, who was great. Paul was a psychic octopus who would choose between these two boxes and pick beforehand the winner of the World Cup. Well, the World Cup began this week. FIFA World Cup. This morning was Argentina was playing. Somebody explain this to me, because I put it on the TV.
Yeah.
And you know how they always abbreviate the nations with 3 letters? And I know in my head. I'm doing a setup.
Oh, okay. I got you.
It's a setup.
It's a setup.
But you know how, like, ARG is Argentina.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Got it. USA is probably USA.
Okay.
Italy is probably ITL.
Yeah.
Something like that. So I'm looking on the screen.
Yeah.
And I'm seeing ARG versus ISL. And I'm like, ISL? Is it Islamic Republic? Are we playing literally Al Qaeda?
England.
And I thought maybe like Isla Bonita, if that's a place, or Isle of Wight in England. But these are countries playing. It's not like the local football in Manchester United kind of a thing.
What is it? Yeah.
Yeah. And then it was like Iceland. ISL. So either
ICL, I remember.
Well, or ICE. It should be ice. Well, yeah, I mean, granted, it's soccer. It's the wrong time of year. But Iceland, IC. All I can think of is FIFA like a Polish organization? I don't know. Or perhaps in whatever language they're using, it's Iceland is Islandia, ISLAND.
Yes.
But no, I'm sorry. I see ISL. I'm thinking of calling like the FBI and the CIA. Because no, there was a team the other day, they lost, thank goodness, from Palestine. There is no Palestine. Suddenly there's Palestine versus, I think they were beaten by Saudi Arabia. Two wonderful places. So, I don't know. I'm gonna be checking what they're doing in terms of places. Like if they have France, I'm gonna spell XQP for France.
Yes, that's how it's spelled.
Bothers me. Just bothers me. How do we get on? Oh, Paul the octopus. Paul the late psychic octopus, right? Well, now there's Achilles the clairvoyant cat. I kid you not. They have a psychic pussy, ladies and gentlemen.
Wow.
Achilles the clairvoyant cat, and he picked the first game of the FIFA World Cup, Russia beating Saudi Arabia 5-0.
But that's easy because the home team always wins the first game.
Always
That's what they do.
But Paul
Yeah.
went 8 for 8.
How much did this cat go?
Well, 1 for 1.
That's nothing.
Achilles lives in the Hermitage Museum in St. Petersburg.
Oh.
Because, Russia's one of the hosts of the FIFA thing. And for fun, he catches rats.
Oh, good.
And now he chooses between bowls of cat food, labeled with the different countries.
Wow.
He's also deaf, which means for fewer distractions. So he's not...
He's focusing in on the teams, I see. I'm reading the stats, yeah.
Now, last year, he called 3 out of 4 Confederate Cup matches.
Wow.
Which that's just slightly better than random, isn't it?
That's better than your bookie.
That could be, yeah. Could be. Anyway, I'm sorry. Achilles the cat is not going to replace Paul the psychic octopus in our collective consciousness. He's just... I loved Paul so much.
You did. You really did.
Yeah. I guess I'm a sucker for a good octopus. You and what arm, E? No thanks. They asked me if I wanted an octopus arm. I said, I already ate. I'm just squidding. All right, let's get on with this, shall we? Hey, this week is coal week in Greeley.
Ooh.
Donald Trump will be thrilled. Order your coal now for the winter.
Cool, nice.
And prepare for warmth.
Wow.
Don't wait.
Okay.
Don't wait. You'll upset the entire wartime industrial organization if you do.
Guilt much? Yeah.
I remember the last time I upset the entire wartime industrial organization.
Yes, you didn't order your coal.
Had to bring them donuts for a month, and we're still not on the same easygoing terms as before.
No, they blocked you on the Facebook.
They did.
Yeah,
those cold
that's
people.
mean.
Yeah,
I know.
I was cold-hearted of them.
That was.
Yeah.
I hope they don't mind. Duh.
That's funny. I thought you were just a spelunkhead.
David, listen, I got to get going and go
all
to
right,
the gym.
all right.
Come on, pick some
Let's
good
do one more. Let's do one more. Oh, this is beautiful. Now, this is another elsewhere. Okay, no, this is great. This is fabulous. The only thing is, I can't physically show you the photograph or the video of this. You can find it on the interwebs. But are you ready for this?
Yes.
Dateline, Minnesota.
Oh, God.
Kathy Strom was attending the Wingstock Country Music Festival in Wingstead, Minnesota. Because you know how those Minnesotans love country music.
Yes, yeehaw.
It's not bad enough they're living in Minnesota. They have to listen to country music.
We used to have a little country thing. I don't know where it was.
I don't know.
Ta-tong, tiddly-doo.
I think we have a cunt bush somewhere, but it's covered with hair. Anywho. Kathy Strom.
Yes?
She was at this festival.
Good.
Little inebriated.
Oh, no.
This happened last week, when she saw a truck there. Big truck. Big truck with a large exhaust pipe. She said, quote, "We're just having fun.
Oh, no.
And I saw this big exhaust pipe,"
God help us.
she said.
Yeah.
And I was like, hey, my head could probably fit in that.
Why would you think that?
She did.
Why would you think
she
that?
Did. So I tried it.
God help her. She's like she didn't die.
Her head fit, but it didn't want to come back out. Strom had her head stuck in the exhaust pipe
So what do you call?
for 45 minutes until firefighters rescued her with a power saw. This is a true story. There's video of this.
She must have had one heck of a headache and a hangover.
Oh, I know, right?
Because if you're drunk, you got your head stuck in a tailpipe and they're using a power saw, that's going to be so loud.
That's the new title of a country music song. I see it right now. I got drunk and stuck my head in the middle of a tailpipe. Wish someone had a power saw. I mean, that's it. That's the song right there.
God.
Eventually, she was arrested for underage drinking.
Yeah, but what about the poor person whose car that was?
Dig this.
Yeah.
Check this out.
Yeah.
Truck owner, he was there when the firefighters were helping. He didn't make her pay to fix his damaged tailpipe. If you know she had a bad enough day.
I would have done it because, I mean, now he's got to pay for that.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't be that nice.
That won't pass emissions testing.
Oh, my God. It's like, imagine riding behind that car and it's like, it smells like shampoo.
Who's wearing Love's Baby Soft? What's that?
What's that coming out of it? It's dandruff tripping along the road. What is that?
Okay, Mr. Potato.
That's Greeley Crimes at All Times for this Saturday, June 16th, 2018 on Dave's Gone By. Pow! Wow! Do! Da, 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 da. Yes, indeed. First of all, I want to thank, one more time before she heads off for a bit, my darling and amazing and adorable wife. Do you want to come on camera just for a moment to say, wish yourself a happy birthday?
No.
Really?
I don't like
She's so cute. I don't know what to, anyway.
I'm not cute. Only babies are cute.
All right, she's not cute. She's pretty, all right? She's my pretty wife, Joyce, who's, you can actually see the sort of the top of her head and forehead at the moment.
You can see what?
It's right there. There. Somewhere.
What are you looking at?
I'm trying to point with my baby arms here. Anywho,
what are you pointing at my head?
Happy birthday, my love. I love you very much.
I love you too, David. I'll be back. If I get locked down, I'm going to text you.
Yeah. Oh, you mean down? No, you shouldn't be.
Okay.
You shouldn't be at all. And I'll leave this door open.
On, so
okay. She's going to put her earphones on to listen to anything else but this radio program.
No, I like it, but I can't.
No, she'll be at the gym. And but tell your friends, tell everyone, first of all, I'm talking to all you folks, that if you like what we do here, and why wouldn't you, get people to join the Daverhood, which means just liking us on Facebook, or even better than liking us, make us a see first, which just means that when we post, and we're not one of these places that posts 25 messages a day, all day long on Facebook or Twitter. We do it a couple of times a week, especially to let you know what's going to be on an upcoming show, and especially to say, hey, we're here, we're live, come join us, come watch. So tell people, Radio Dave Lefkowitz is the Facebook page. Radio Dave, that's me, Radio Dave Lefkowitz. Join us here, like us first, and that just means that whenever I post something or wherever we're on the air and you're on Facebook, you'll know, oh, cool, let me tune in and see what this idiot is doing today. So there's that. If you have people who aren't on Facebook, or you miss parts of the show, or you want to hear the show in a little bit better sound quality, remember that our archives are all at davesgoneby.com. DAVESGONEBY. davesgoneby.com. And when I say archives, I mean it. I mean that from our very first episode, which was back in October of 2002, we were on a Long Island radio station, 11 o'clock at night for just an hour. They were pretty great shows too, and you can hear them for free. They're podcasts now. So tune them in. Just go to the archive section of davesgoneby.com. They're MP3s that you can download, or if you're afraid of downloading stuff because of viri, you stream it right on your computer. Either way, our first episode, our 101st, our 501st, our 601st, all the way up to the 654 previous episodes of the show. They're all there at davesgoneby.com. Do check them out. And also, if you want to get in touch with me, certainly you can make comments by commenting right here when the show is live, or send me Facebook messages during the week, or, again, if you're not a Facebook person, email the old-fashioned way. In fact, I have an old-fashioned email address, davesgoneby@aol.com. I still have an AOL address, an account, davesgoneby@aol.com.
David, can you hear my music?
Through your earphones?
You hear it?
Not at all.
Okay, good.
Yeah. Joyce is testing her earphones when she goes to the gym to stay even more svelte and beautiful than she is already. Whoa.
I'm just bringing this stuff here. This.
So let me tell you what else we're going to be doing on the show, or remind you, we've got Inside Broadway coming up pretty much immediately. We've got Rabbi Sol Solomon talking to performance artist Adrienne Truscott. We'll have our Saturday Segue of songs in the news. I love you. Go. Oh, you don't want to come on camera to give a push. Okay. Cushums. Love you, sweetie. Do you need ketchup for the gym?
No.
Yeah. Okay, so I can put the ketchup back. Okay. And we will also have our Limerick, our Colorado Limerick of the day. And I think that about does. Oh, the story time, of course. A cow for Hansel. Oh, she forgot something. Yeah. Got everything? Ah, good. I'll be here if you need anything. Do myself. Okay. Love you. Oh, she wants another kiss. Mwah! Well, no, she didn't want it that bad. Anyway, welcome to David from my high school. Hey, David and Bruce and Carol and David and the other David and Jay and Steve and Joe and Phyllis and all the cool folks who are joining us, and Gina, who just tuned in to our 655th episode of the program. Now, if you were here last week, you know that we did something really, really special for the 14th time. Speaking of archives, we did our annual Total Theater Tony Awards special. It was the day before the Tony Awards, so we had all these experts weighing in on the categories. We played show tunes, we did some trivia. It was fabulous. Well, now it's hangover week, because the Tonys were last Sunday night. So let's talk about them on Dave's Gone By. Inside Broadway, a look at theater on and off Broadway and beyond. Brought to you by Total Theater and Performing Arts Insider. Curtain going up. Curtain going up on Inside Broadway on this Saturday, June 16th. So, okay, we'll have all the Tony information in case I missed it last Sunday or didn't see it in the papers. We'll go over some Tony stuff, but let's have some other news first. We'll kind of hold it in abeyance for just a little bit, because we have some off-Broadway news. We'll start with that, and some pretty cool stuff announced by the off-Broadway theater company, The New Group, which has told everyone what its 2018-19 season is going to be. It's going to start in September, perfect time to start a fall season, with a new play by Char White, and it's called The True, featuring Edie Falco. Now, she plays a big mucky-muck in the Democratic Party, and she's worried about the upcoming primaries. I mean, couldn't get more timely than this. In the primary, they've got a long-time Democratic mayor running. They call him the mayor forever. And he's played by the great Michael McKean, whom you remember from all the Christopher Guest movies and Laverne and Shirley, of course. So he's facing, finally, a real challenge in the next primary, and Edie Falco is going to do whatever she can to make sure that the Democrats win. The play is called The True by Char White. It's off-Broadway by The New Group, happening in September. And then in November, I was just talking about that with my wife, to whom I am pointing, except she's no longer in the room, but Clueless. Every movie turns into a musical. This is kind of interesting because Amy Heckerling, who wrote and directed the Clueless movie, is going to do the Clueless musical. She's writing the book, and she's adapting these songs of the period, like 80s, 90s, aughts pop music, with parody kind of lyrics into this brand new show. And it's going to debut in November off-Broadway from The New Group, Clueless, the musical. And then moving into next year in February, there's a new play called Daddy, and Daddy is in quotes, by a fellow named Jeremy O. Harris, and it's rather provocative. It's a day for provocation, ladies and gentlemen, in the Daverhood, but a rather provocative synopsis here. An art patron seduces this young black artist, this talented fellow, and the artist's mom is not particularly happy about it. The art patron is being played by Alan Cumming, so a rather interesting piece there called Daddy, in quotes, happening from The New Group in February. And then Jesse Eisenberg has a new play. He's a terrific actor. You know him from The End of the Tour and The Social Network. He's also been on and off Broadway and written a couple of off-Broadway shows. His latest is called Yay, Sister, and it's a comedy that tells of a woman whose family is falling apart, but she's concentrating on trying to find a man for her mom's caregiver, who is a Serbian immigrant. So it's kind of a cool plot there for Yay, Sister, written by Jesse Eisenberg, that is happening at the New Group in April of next year. Well, we couldn't do this segment on Dave's Gone By called Inside Broadway without the help of a wonderful organization. It's called Total Theater. And what they do is they preserve theater in a certain sense. So you've got one website that's called totaltheater.com. Totaltheater.com. This is a place where you can read reviews of Broadway, off and off Broadway, regional theater, international theater, festivals. You can just go to this one site and read literally thousands of theater reviews. And it's free. Just go to the homepage, totaltheater.com. Click on Criticopia for the list of all the Broadway, off-Broadway shows from everywhere. There's even a periodica section which has interviews and articles about theater being made all over the world. And we've just started adding a brand new line that you can click on the What's New page, because What's New is really a great place to start. What's New is a place you click there. It gives you a list of every show that is still currently running, whether it's in New York or anywhere else. So you don't have to wade through shows that have closed a long time ago. It's also an archive site. The What's New page is fabulous for that. But there's also a line now where you can click and just have a whole list alphabetical of all the shows that are on the site. Now, it's at the moment, we've only got the last 2 years linkable on it. It's a project that will be ongoing for a while. But at least this is a way, because people sometimes have trouble with the search engine. It can be a little buggy. This is a way you can go to this one page, scroll down alphabetically, or even do a control find and say, oh, I'm looking for reviews by this critic, or I'm looking for reviews in Chicago. Perfect place to go to it, and it's all at totaltheater.com. I do want to remind you that Total Theater, the company, also puts out Performing Arts Insider, the Bible of Broadway, and has been since 1944. This is a hard copy journal that lists every single show on, off, and off Broadway with tons of relevant information, all the people involved, when things are opening and closing, where the theaters are, and even contact information for the people who are making theater. For example, it's the agents, the managers, the press agents representing the shows. Sometimes you can email, cut out the middleman, directly call or email writers and choreographers and actors and directors. This is information that you can't really find anywhere else, and certainly not all in one succinct, easy place, as in Performing Arts Insider. It comes out 21 times a year, or if that's a little much, you can just do 12 times a year, the monthly edition. People who subscribe, they pay a lot of money, but they renew again and again because they know there's nothing quite like Performing Arts Insider. For more information, go to performingartsinsider.com. It'll tell you how to subscribe or send away for a single issue. Or if you happen to be in Manhattan in the Midtown 40s, then you can go into Drama Bookshop or Theater Circle and buy a copy right on the stands. Performing Arts Insider, it is the Bible of Broadway. Well, let's get back to Broadway on this Dave's Gone By, where it is 10 o'clock in the morning, Mountain Time, here in Greeley, Colorado, and we're doing the 655th episode of the Dave's Gone By radio program of the stream with me, Dave Lefkowitz. You watch? I hope you watched the Tonys. I thought it was a darn good show. Very few particular missteps. And well, let me give you some basic information. It was on Sunday night, June 10th, live from Radio City Music Hall, except of course we here in Colorado have to watch it an hour late because they do a tape delay. Don't know why. And it was an enormous night for The Band's Visit. People were expecting it would win Best Musical. People figured for sure Katrina Lenk would win, and it would probably win Best Score, and maybe one or two more. Instead, The Band's Visit took 10 awards. That's almost as much as like Hamilton and the Producers took a few years back. So, people were just shocked. You got the feeling even some of the, all the awards were deserved, just like virtually all Broadway awards are on some level deserved, unless it's a really ridiculous nomination. But at a certain point, you got the feeling that the voters were going, okay, oh, Bang's Visit, Bang's Visit, Bang's Visit, Bang's Visit, and not even really looking necessarily at the category, because it won in a couple where I could totally see another candidate in that category getting it instead. But hey, I loved the Bang's Visit, so I'm the last one to feel bad that it took 10 Tony Awards last Sunday. It won for musical, book, score. Tony Shalhoub won for Best Actor. Katrina Lenk did win for actress. Ariel Stachel won for featured actor. Now, in terms of plays, or really the second most winning show last Sunday, was Harry Potter. And that came away with 6 awards, including Best Play, and John Tiffany winning for Best Director. Now, just to give you some context here, the day before the Tonys, when all you knew was the nominations, the most nominated show was not The Bang's Visit, it was not Disney's Frozen, it was not Harry Potter, it was actually SpongeBob SquarePants, which I think came away with maybe 1 or 2 design awards. And then, let's see, Angels in America, The Bang's Visit, and Carousel all had 11 nominations. Carousel did pretty well for the night. I'll go over a couple of the other categories here. Sarah Bareilles and Josh Groban were the hosts of the Tonys. I don't know. My wife was very unimpressed. She thought they didn't have the charisma or the spark or the looks to be hosts of a major award show. I thought they were charming. I enjoyed them. I thought they weren't fake and phony with ridiculous, pointless banter. They were just themselves in a heightened kind of a way. I compare them to when a few years ago on the Oscars, they teamed Anne Hathaway with, talented actor, but kind of an eccentric fella. And they were paired because they were good-looking people and youthful and bring the Oscars to a new generation. And instead, there was just flatlining, no chemistry. He was checking his cell phone. It was just like, no. Comparatively, more than comparatively, I thought Sarah Bareilles and Josh Groban were terrific, and I wouldn't mind seeing them again next year. They were on just enough time. I thought their opening number was charming and clever, as these opening numbers are. Look, we all miss Neil Patrick Harris. He's maybe once or twice in a lifetime kind of host, but he's done. He's not doing it now. We need other people, and compared to hosts of the last couple of years, considering that the last Tonys were hosted by Kevin Spacey, and we remember what that was like and what he turned into, I'm fine with Josh and Sarah. Presenters included Jim Parsons, Claire Danes, Andrew Rannells, Bernadette Peters, and perhaps, most memorably, Robert De Niro. I was in Colorado. It was bleeped. They didn't bleep it. There was just silence for a few seconds, and we're like, what the hell is Robert De Niro saying that they would bleep like that? And then he sang it again. And we're like, oh. And the audience went wild, because it's a partisan biased audience. I would have gone wild in the same time. Was it inappropriate? Was it wrong? I don't know. A lot of people are saying it was just not right for the scene. So much of the Tonys was naturally left-wing. Every person who got up there was either vaguely referring to the immigration crisis or to LGBTQ. One person made, it might have been Glenda Jackson, or somebody made the thing about the idiot Colorado baker, that we should be baking cakes for everybody who wants them. Fine, great. And then, seizing the moment, in a manner of speaking, Robert De Niro was like, F Trump. And people just think, and I love how the right-wing media, the Fox News people, said he went on a tirade. What was that tirade? It was 2 sentences long. It's about time we said this. F Trump. F Trump. You want to see a tirade? Go to the mall and watch a mother with a hungry, cranky, tired infant. Watch them for 10 minutes. That's a tirade. F Trump is a moment being seized oratorically. That's all it is. So could he have put it another way? Could he have said something else? Could he have said the same thing in a different way? Yeah, probably. Or he could have just pointed to half the shows. Kinky Boots is an F Trump when you have a president who says that transgender people shouldn't be in the military. Okay? Any Fiddler on the Roof is an F Trump when you figure that half of those immigrants who have to leave Anatevka are going to come to America and they have to beg, borrow, steal, and bribe their way in. Okay? So it's all F Trump in a way. Still, it was a fun moment. I gotta give him that. And a great speech from Glenda Jackson, too, and a couple of touching speeches. I had a lovely time. I thought the memorial segment, it's taken them a few years to get right. They got that very nicely right this time. What didn't they do? They didn't, for years, they've had a problem. Not a problem for real dyed-in-the-wool theater goers, but for the general audience, they've had a problem displaying plays. How do you show the best plays, the candidates? Do you do a scene? Do you highlight one particular actor doing something? There was a terrible idea a few years ago where they took different lines from different plays and bounced them off each other. It didn't work. So this time, what they did was nothing. They didn't do anything. They just decided to overlook plays and give out the Best Play Award, but not really do a segment about them. As a playwright, that moved me in the wrong way. I don't know. I'm with Neil Patrick Harris on this. I don't know what the hell Rachel Bloom was doing backstage. Maybe she's hopped up on drugs. Maybe she's going through one of her manic phases, but there was nothing interesting, funny, useful about the shrieking ridiculousness she was doing. I just was like, it was embarrassing to watch whatever the hell was going on backstage with her. Thank God it was only for 15 seconds at a clip. And she did it last, I don't even remember her doing it last year. So as much as I kind of enjoy My Crazy Ex-Girlfriend, the show, I do not enjoy Rachel Bloom unscripted, I guess. I don't know, but they don't need to do that next year. And there was one segment that really was kind of blah. I forget what it was that they kind of sort of botched in the conception. But other things, I just had a fine time watching the Tony Awards last Sunday. What else should I mention? Well, let me remind you of some of the winners then before we end this segment of Inside Broadway. Let's see, Chita Rivera and Andrew Lloyd Webber. Oh, this was a cool thing. They won their Lifetime Achievement Awards. And at first I was pissed off. The first thing it said was, when we were off the air, before the real Tony Awards started, we gave Lifetime Achievement Awards to Chita Rivera and Andrew Lloyd Webber. And I was like, really? Two incredible legends of the theater, and you choose to do that off camera, off stage, before the live big event on CBS? But what happened was they did actually honor the two of them with a segment, and that was fine, except the segment sucked. That was the one segment I was like, no, it was a total medley pastiche of their various shows, and it was just like, no, just do a clip compilation with actual, show Sarah Brightman, show, let's see, who the people from Phantom and Cabaret and, not Hal Prince shows. I'm talking of Andrew Lloyd Webber shows and Chita Rivera shows. So show Damn Yankees, the real clips from the classic musicals, because we've got them now. Or if you don't have that, you can play the original cast recording with a photograph.
The gym is open for a game, but not for people.
My wife just is back. Hello, wife. Hello, on birthday, wife. This is how my wife's birthday is working out. She goes to the gym, and they've closed the whole thing?
What?
How do you close an entire gym?
No, it's only open at 12 for people. I forgot. It's open at 10 for the games. It's not open until 12.
Well, welcome back, hon.
Yes, I'm back. And the library's closed, too.
Really?
Yeah.
On a Saturday?
12.
Oh.
Because it's summertime. The people don't like libraries.
Summertime.
Summertime
So I'm glad you're back because we can talk. And by the way, I can't get off this chair because it squeaks. Ah.
Switch to the other. Lower it. You gotta push that down.
No, I like it high. Oh, you'll sit on that.
No, I'm gonna sit on the floor.
So, if you haven't seen my potato costume, by the way, here it is. What did you think of the Tony Awards on Sunday, my darling?
I liked it. I
Okay.
thought that the announcers were too plain.
Yeah, I was talking about Sarah Bareilles and Josh Groban.
Yeah, I mean, they were scruffy. They were like having your cousin, like cousins or friends. It wasn't like really super like fancy. Like,
Yeah.
I think the Tonys should be super fancy.
Maybe back in the day they were, when it was just a luncheon and they weren't on TV.
I think they should.
Okay, well, you saw Kevin Spacey last year. He was no great shape.
No, I hate him. He's a pedophile.
Kind
Whatever
of.
he is. He's some kind of file.
Well, then, what did you think maybe of Hugh Jackman a couple of years back?
No, Wolverine.
Okay, fine. Did you like Neil Patrick Harris?
Yes.
Yeah, he was great.
He's a showman. He can do it all.
True. I mean, I totally do not disagree.
It should be somebody either very famous or very like.
I need you, if you're going to be, I need them to hear you, or else I got to do the segment because they can't hear you on there if you're all the way back there.
I can't. You took my chair away.
Well, it's right there. Hold on, folks. Joyce is getting her chair back. Come and see. You don't have to be on screen. You can still be off screen, but we need to hear you. So, because I got to edit this later on audio, so it's kind of... You'll see that on camera. No, but was De Niro appropriate or inappropriate for the moment?
De Niro's been saying that. He said that at every place. He
Yeah.
says it at the subway stop. He says that to the mailman. He says that to his kid's teacher. That's nothing new with him. He's always said that. I mean, that's what he's thinking.
But is it right for him to take...
Everybody else says what they want.
With that word?
Why not?
Okay, all right, yeah.
I mean, we say it, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
You say it.
Oh, I say it all the time.
So then why can't he say it?
Then, yeah, I'm pretty much in agreement. I just don't think
Some people felt like our friend SC said that it ruined it because it was like bad, but they bleeped him.
Yeah, they in our neck of the woods. I don't know if they did
Some
it in
of
New
that
York.
singing made me want to say that word. There were some performances I was like, oh God, please let it end.
Well, I'm sorry. Okay, they did have, and it was touching for a moment, the kids from Parkland singing
No, they didn't
Rent.
bother me. It was when they had that big ensemble scene.
Oh, which was that?
I don't know. It was one of the shows, and a guy was singing, kind of round, singing, no hair, some hair. He was singing a thing and they were all dressed as men, dressed as women.
Oh, that was
that was a flat
bad
note,
scene, but that
yeah.
was from that was from My Fair Lady.
Oh God!
That Norbert Leo Butz as
Yeah,
Doolittle.
And that's where the guy stuck his tongue out. I think he was the director or producer.
Yeah, he was the director of it. Yeah, which I mean, why was there cross dressing in the I'm Getting Married in the Morning?
Not even that. It was you couldn't hear the guy who was singing.
Oh,
I couldn't hear it. It was bad.
Okay, that was one of the lesser sequences from My Fair
I
Lady.
just got bit again.
But you're wearing long. Well, they can go up pretty easily under that,
like here.
that little pant.
Ugh.
What else? What else about the Tonys struck you, if anything, about the Tony Awards?
The speeches weren't very long.
No, they were very few people had to get cut off. Except
a couple, 2, 3, yeah.
What would happen is someone would give a short speech, but then there'd be somebody else who was just as entitled to give a speech.
Say, and I'd like to, and then they would.
Then the orchestra would kick right in and say, "Nope, no time for you."
They got to plan that stuff out better, though, when you're gonna,
Well, they don't figure. They figure they're keeping it short enough that the next person.
But you both stand up together.
And here's so and so.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I enjoyed, as I've been saying overall, just reminding people, Harry Potter won for Best Play, Band's Visit won for Best Musical. I have to say, everybody's been raving about the song in the sequence with Katrina Lenk and Tony Shalhoub where they sang about Omar Sharif.
I didn't care for it.
It's my least favorite song in the show,
I didn't care for it at all.
Why not? Yeah.
It was just, she was trying to do an Israeli accent or whatever. It was horrible.
Oh, it wasn't horrible.
I thought it was, that accent wasn't any act. You know my accent thing.
Yeah.
So I felt that accent wasn't appropriate, and it just took away from it. And all he did was sit there and look at her. Like, what kind of song is that?
Well, he's falling in love with her when she sings the song.
He looked like he was falling in love with her, looking at acid reflux.
Well, that's Tony Shalhoub. He always looks like it. That's why they cast him as Monk.
Oh, okay.
Anyway. But I agree. I would have liked to have seen another song from the band's visit to represent the band's visit, but we're in the minority on this one.
Really?
People were raving about the scene, raving about the song.
Do they get out?
What?
Do they see much?
And you know what I forgot to check this week? I forgot to check the ratings of how the Tonys did for CBS, because they've been going downhill steadily year after year since like the Rosie O'Donnell years.
People like that Grow Band.
Well, actually, they bumped up that Hamilton year, but they've been going back.
They like the Grow Band.
Yeah, they tried to get the young folks with Grow Band Bareilles. But
they could have dressed them nicer and fix their hair.
The winner of Revival of a Play went to Angels in America. This was one of the shockers. Revival of a Musical did not go to My Fair Lady or Carousel. It went to Once on This Island.
I love that.
Well, the part you saw.
They had a goat. You have a goat and a chicken. You got to win.
It was like such a kinetic, vibrant, fun production.
It reminded me of Candide. It had a feeling like some of the Candide with the flying and the...
Yeah.
It felt Candide, yeah.
And let's see what else.
You don't think so, or am I just wrong?
No, I totally get what you're saying there. It had the fantastical element. It had...
I need to bring some
calamine lotion or something, yeah. Joyce is scratching bug bites.
Book
of a Musical...
Would work?
I'm sorry, what?
I think ketchup would work.
You want to try it?
No.
No. Okay. Joyce wants to put ketchup on her mosquito bites.
My mom said alcohol or vinegar, but we don't have that.
There might be actually alcohol in the kitchen if there's a first aid kit.
Yeah.
Well, when I open up, when we get to the interview, I'll have some time.
Okay, sure, yeah.
Because Rabbi Sol Solomon is going to be interviewing Adrienne Truscott, the performance artist. She's going to be doing her show, A One-Trick Pony, at Joe's Pub on June 24th. And then she's actually bringing it back in August and September as well. But you're not going to want to miss that. It's going to be, if you think I've said I haven't really been outrageous today, except for this, but if you think I've said some outre things on Dave's Gone By so far, then wait till Rabbi Sol Solomon talks to Adrienne Truscott about her work. What else? And we'll have our Limerick, we'll have our Saturday Segue of Songs in the News, I'll do a cow for Hansel, and Dave's Big Dictionary. Is a great show, just getting started, really. So welcome to Bruce and David and Jay and Nate and Matthew and Jeffrey and all the fine folks who are tuning in and listening. So let's come out of this segment, of our Inside Broadway segment, in honor of the Tony-winning, 10-time Tony-winning Broadway musical, The Band's Visit. Here's the cast with their song, Waiting.
Waiting, what's new here? You're waiting, I'm waiting, 'cause that's what we do here. Same as we do every day, for something I don't know to happen, just something different to happen. Just waiting for something to change, just a change.
Hi, this is Adrienne Truscott. Please come see my show, Adrienne Truscott, The One Trick Pony, at Joe's Pub on June 27th. I'm talking to Rabbi Sol Solomon on Dave's Gone By.
Oh, shalom, damn it. This is your old friend Rabbi Sol Solomon, talking about theater, talking about comedy, talking about performance art. So much to talk about with our guest in the Daverhood today. Her name is Adrienne Truscott. She is a performance artist and a rape victim. Now, I'm not making fun of that, but sometimes she does in her shows. For example, she used to be part of the Neo Vaudeville troupe, the Wow Wow Sisters. She's a multi-award winner, including from the Edinburgh Fringe Festival. She has taught at Wesleyan and Sarah Lawrence and Yale. Now, she's doing One Trick Pony. She's doing it at Joe's Pub on June 27th, and we're going to talk to her about that and all the other performances that she does. Shalom and welcome to the Daverhood, Adrienne Truscott. Hello.
Hello, Rabbi. That was an extraordinary introduction. Thank you.
Yeah, I tend to do those. I'm very proud of this. So let's go right to the meat of the matter, as it were. The stuff that you do in terms of women's issues, in terms of male aggression, in terms of rape, is that easier or harder or just different now that we're in the so-called #MeToo era?
I would say maybe it's a little bit, I don't know that easier is the word. Maybe it's a little less rare. Maybe more people are delving into that topic as part of their comedy material. And I think it's kind of weird but safe to say that if you're a woman in the world, making jokes about male aggression or assault or that kind of thing is actually just observational comedy.
Oh, okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Ooh, we're gonna have an interesting talk here. So, do you see virtually everything in terms of male versus female, much the way that black people see black versus white in almost everything?
I wouldn't say I see everything as male versus female. I would say I notice the world through the lens of growing up in a female body and walking around the world in a female body. I do see a lot of that. I suppose I also see it as a white person. I notice a lot of things about being a woman in the world. I don't think it's the only way I see, but I think a lot of people who walk through the world at different intersections, whether they're race or gender or sexuality, really notice the world through those lenses.
So let's say you go through a typical day, a day when you're not necessarily performing, but you're shopping. You're going on maybe the subway, you're going on in a car, you have to do certain errands, you have to get work done. How many times, at what stages, do you feel the world is looking at you as a woman in a way that I don't feel when I'm walking down the street in my tallis and my shawl?
Let's see. Sometimes the way you're greeted, when if it's something like, hey, sweetheart, can you help me with this? Being told to smile in the friendliest way possible. Absolutely, all kinds of unsolicited help with parallel parking.
Really?
Being introduced in a group that you're maybe one member and part of a project, and nobody shakes your hand at first, or two men shake one another's hand and begin a conversation, and you sort of have to insert your own hand into the shake and say, hello, I'm Adrienne, I'm the director.
You still have to do that?
I mean, I can say that in the arts industry, sometimes people are more sensitive to that, and there's more, sometimes that's less true. But, when I drop my truck off at the mechanics, they sometimes, act like, who are you here with? All that kind of stuff. Crossing the street, being, ogled through a car window by some ding-dong with a,
With a ding-dong, actually, yeah.
But ding-dong with a ding-dong who thinks it's cute to, do that weird gesture.
I have to admit, I always wish I were ogled through a car window. Just once or twice. Could be a man, could be a woman, could be an animal. But so somebody looking at me and going, woohoo, you're looking good today, Rabbi. Nice beard.
Yeah, and maybe somebody does do that. But I have thought once about doing a project where, what would it be like to just go through the day where I did all those impulses and I hooted and hollered at every attractive person I saw, and then said, gave people advice about how to park, and you turn it to the left, to some guy who's parallel parking for the 950th time that month. I don't go around the world doing that, but there's a lot of people who go around the world doing all those things without even questioning whether they should or shouldn't, or whether it's appreciated or not.
Well, you mentioned going around the world, which you have. You've, as a performer, you've even done some circus work. How different is it in America, the way you are dealt with as a woman, as opposed to other I assume Western Europe is more enlightened, and maybe you've been to some places where women walk 10 paces behind in a burqa. I don't know.
I have not had the opportunity to perform in any countries that we as Americans would understand as incredibly religiously repressive. So I can't really speak to that. In general, I find anywhere you go in the world, the same annoyances, the same unconscious fears, the same needs to assert yourself exist in most Western developed countries that I've spent any time in, whether you're in the city or the country, whether you're on stage or off.
Or, but even in places, let's say, like Latin America or Italy, that has certain views, male-dominated views of women. The man does this and behaves this way, and the woman, she cooks and she cleans and she wears the slippers. Did you experience any of that?
Not really. I don't really run in those circles. But, I remember when I was a kid, I went to Italy, and I remember a grown man, I was a kid, I was a teenager, a young woman, I suppose. I remember a man trying to rub up against me. I've been flashed in subways in New York. I've been flashed in England. I've been, maybe sometimes there's a slightly different tone or flair to the harassment in a different country, but it kind of all boils down to the same thing, which is that, too often, too many women have to expend too much energy I feel a little sensitive today because a community I'm incredibly close to in Melbourne, a young, very promising female comic was walking home from a gig and was raped and murdered in the streets, where a ton of women I know walk home from comedy gigs all the time. And that feeling, and, you know, of course, the newspapers have been warning women to be careful when they walk home. So I'm a little sensitive about it all today because being told to be careful when you walk home is, A, the dumbest fucking thing ever, because that doesn't stop it.
Right. Well, also, why should women have to be careful when they walk? Yeah, as opposed to...
Right.
Yeah, I mean, everybody has to be a little careful in a dark street, but still, why women specifically, and why is this still happening?
Women.
Yeah.
And for some people, for some women, walking home is the safe part, and it's actually when they get home that's the dangerous part.
Oh.
When people say, like, try to be aware, try to be more careful, and I think about all the times I've been like, okay, for whatever reason, I deflected this with humor, and that worked. And this time I deflected it with rage and said, like, you picked the wrong fucking lady, mister. And that worked. And when people say, like, be aware and be careful, part of me wants to go, God, do you know how much that young woman had to want to love comedy and do comedy to walk home every night by herself? We always know it's dangerous. We know that since we understand what the word danger means. We're told that.
Let me ask, though. I mean, you're a pretty left-wing person. I'm fairly left-wing. So, but
yep.
Should all the women carry a gun?
No.
Why?
All men should stop raping.
Well, yes, but men are not going to stop.
So, Rabbi, what I'm saying is, like, people can have that conversation, but the problem doesn't stop if women change their behavior. The problem only stops if the men who rape change their behavior. If they learn to understand that they are not entitled to behave like that. The only way it will ever change. If I heard that a woman was assaulted and had a gun on her and shot the guy, I would be like, well, that's a classic asking for it, mister.
Yes.
More so than wearing a miniskirt.
Sure, well, okay, fine. I'm just saying it's like to say, well, men should change their behavior and stop raping. Well, yeah, duh, but...
Yeah. But people don't have that conversation. They still say women should be careful. Women should learn self-defense. I don't want to waste my time learning self-defense. I want to spend my time writing jokes.
Okay.
I'm not raping anybody. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I do. I'm just saying it's like telling people who are overweight or have a little high blood pressure, don't eat. Or, you know, only eat really good things. And a lot of the time they will. But people are people, and a certain segment of the population is just going to eat what they want to eat. And if they're tipping the scales, so be it. So to tell men, by the way, bad guy who's a little bit psychotic, stop raping, that doesn't work, you know?
No, but if you tell the culture, they watch out for the bad guy, and that one guy who had, like, one, complaint about him at work, he might be the guy. Keep an eye on him.
Okay. That's fair.
And, instead of telling women to take the self-defense, I'm not saying you, of course, Rabbi, I'm saying instead of hearing the culture tell women, take self-defense classes, consider carrying a gun. Why isn't the culture saying, gentlemen, take a class in women's studies, understand what this is about? It's your job. You have to do it.
Here's the thing. Something that influenced you, or you said in an interview, that has really colored your worldview as a person and as an artist and as a feminist was when you were a teenager and you noticed that some guy, he didn't rape you, but he was taking pictures of you because you were swimming or something in a bathing suit. And that moment, on some level, was traumatic. Explain.
I don't know that... Well, I guess there was a trauma involved in it. It was interesting to me because I just, I was like 15 years old. I was babysitting somebody. I was on a beach. I was on a vacation. I was just learning, like, to understand my body myself, and I was alone other than this little kid I was looking after. And this man came down out of a house in Malibu, and he looked to a 15-year-old from New Jersey, felt like a very sort of fancy Hollywood person, and he just started taking photographs of me. He never said hello. He didn't speak to me. There was no one around to protect me, and he just kept moving in closer and closer and taking photos, and I was so so just young and naive. And yeah, technically nothing happened, but I remember feeling scared. I remember feeling confused, slightly titillated. And to me, it was just one of those moments of learning that, like, oh, you're not just a teenager on the beach with the little boy who you babysit and adore, wondering whether you should go in for a swim or not, or if you should put sunscreen or not. You're a teenager on the beach that some possibly perverted, possibly predatory, and possibly dangerous man is descending upon when there's no one else around, and taking these weird pictures of you and keeping them. And it felt like he was taking something from me. So that did not traumatize me physically. But
well, not physically, but it's something that's in your... What I'm saying is now when you go on a stage and the spotlight's hitting you, and you're being provocative and you're half naked, whatever it is, then is that getting back? Is that saying, okay, I'm owning the moment. You want to look at me, look all you want, because it's my show.
Absolutely. I also think it's much different for, I think it's part of why I love live performance so much, is that people's reaction to a woman's naked body, if that woman has agency and a mic and her voice is amplified and she's in charge, is a very different understanding of being around or looking at a naked woman's body than if it's in an ad or in a movie. And it's funny, I find that it makes, I can sort of read in an audience sometimes guys who are there maybe initially or partly for the titillation of the nudity, and that's fine. I don't care about that. But I notice their demeanor is challenged or changed. I'm sort of not behaving in any way that is like passive or on display for someone's viewing pleasure. And I still think that can be really powerful. It might be personally powerful. I also still think it can be artistically and culturally powerful.
Well, can I ask, and by the way, we're talking with Adrienne Truscott, whom you can go see on June 27th, Friday night. She's doing her show, The One Trick Pony, at Joe's Pub, and that is kind of attached to the Public Theater downtown on Lafayette Street. By the way, if you happen to miss it, don't miss it on June 27th, but if you happen to not be in town, you can also catch it on August 4th and September 23rd. She'll be coming back and doing it again. But let me ask, at what point did you start to feel like an artist?
Oh, that's such a lovely question, Rabbi.
Well, thank you.
I think the first performance I ever did was when I was about 6, like that I really remember, like, I'm going to do something. And funnily enough, it was to the theme song from Maude, and I was naked.
Okay.
But as an adult, I guess, when I moved to New York City and realized I had moved to New York City because I wanted to figure out what all this performing stuff was about. But I was confused about it for a long time. I think there was something about performing in these sort of like alternative radical scenes that made me think some of the stuff you do as a performer is really confronting and really vulnerable. And I had actually, it doesn't sound like it right now, but I had grown up as a very shy kid. I spent a lot of time alone and unsupervised and moved around a lot. Didn't feel like I got tons of sort of positive reinforcement. And there was something about, I was always really physical, and I liked dancing. And then as I got into more mature scenarios of that, like at college and stuff, I noticed a lot of it was really confronting, and it made me nervous to interact with people in these ways that felt more intimate and vulnerable. And I suddenly was like, I bet if you get past that shit, life would be a lot more fun if you're not afraid to sing out loud and get up and dance and do a funny little number in front of some people and make them laugh. So I think it was like the weird philosophy of performing that got me interested in it. And then slowly I realized that I could make dances, and that interested me, working with other people. And recently I've been more writing text and writing jokes.
Well, this is the interesting thing to me, because I called you an artist, and you took that as a compliment, which is great. And yet, there's something in the subtitle of your show, it almost seems like, hey, look, they call Andy Kaufman a comedian, and I don't get to be called a comedian. I just get to be called a performance artist. Am I misreading that?
No. It was sort of like I had always wanted to try stand-up comedy. I always listened to it as a kid, watched it on TV, and it always seemed really scary to me. So when I did that show, asking for it, it was the first solo show I'd ever done, and I wrote an hour of jokes. And I stood up with a mic and a stool on small stages and told jokes for an hour. And I swear, in my heart of hearts, I was like, I'm doing stand-up. I'm a comedian. And I was always called, my show, always thankfully with very positive reviews, but I was still referred to always as a feminist performance artist. And I was like, wait a minute, I thought I just did an hour of stand-up. Why am I getting called that? And it just made me think of Andy, who never told jokes and was always doing these sort of large-scale performance art things. But he's always thought of as a comedian, and I was just sort of thinking about that.
And of course, the funny part of all that is that Andy Kaufman was almost never really funny. You know, the Mickey Mouse thing was cute, but he never, it was, you always wondered what he would do next, but it didn't usually, The Great Gatsby is not a load of giggles, if you know what I'm saying.
No, I know, it was always like, how much more uncomfortable would we feel at his next event?
I got some of the same vibe a couple of weeks ago when I was interviewing Penny Arcade. I'm sure you know who. Another person who, by the way, went through not one but several rapes. You should know from it. But turned that around and became a powerful feminist performer, but also a funny performer. Yeah. And yet nobody calls her a comedian per se. So I thought I would go there in the questioning,
Yeah.
You mentioned that you're a choreographer, and you've also, I said, worked in circuses. What are your circus skills? I'm just curious.
Oh, for about 15 years or so, I did doubles trapeze with Tanya Gagne, who's my Bava sister, and partner acrobatics. So, yeah, like doubles trapeze is kind of like two scantily clad funny monkeys climbing up and down each other.
Okay, well, that sounds pretty hot to me, but I mean, do you still do trapeze, or is that a little in the past at this point?
I haven't done it for a while, and mostly because I've been focusing on writing and been a little more interested in writing, and I injured my back a little bit. So, yeah, I've been doing less circus stuff, but I still sort of participate in the circus community. I really loved it when I was doing it really constantly full-time, because circus in some ways is just, well, quite literally a big tent that you can do kind of anything you want under. You can try the impossible. You can try things that shouldn't work.
Juggling chainsaws, for example, which I have tried and I do not recommend.
No, not so good?
Not good at all. Not, that's why they call me Nine-Finger Sal. It's a terrible experience I had. But I'm kidding, I'm teasing. Let me also ask you, though, about dance, because you have a very particular kind of performance style and circus style, and yet you've taught at a couple of universities. You've taught at Yale, my God. Do you teach regular choreography in the Jerome Robbins, Martha Graham mode, or do you have a special, or what do you do?
I really love working with people who like to move or move well but aren't necessarily trained in dance, like in the ways that, in a sort of Balanchine or Martha Graham, or I quite like pedestrian movement. I think it's really fun to see people move in ways that sort of surprise us, because we're not, a lot of times when you think of dance, you either think of these incredibly physically virtuosic bodies dancing, or really like the joke on it, like really bad, annoying contemporary dance, maybe barely moving or something.
That would be me, yes.
I think I get turned on by different people, and so I tend to just put people that I get, like, that I find charismatic and smart and funny, and put them in a dance and make us all find some weird way to move. But I was taught choreography by people who had more of like a jazz sensibility about it, like that you can come up with structures and then fuck with them a bit.
Okay.
Opposed to like, hey, I made all these moves and I'm going to teach them to you and then you're going to do them.
Now, sorry, please, yes.
That's okay, go ahead.
Well, also I wanted to ask, here's a question. Since you like all comedians and performance artists, you try and push the envelope. You want to go a little bit further. You want to look over the edge, sometimes jump over it. Can anything be funny?
I believe that anything can be made funny, looked at in a way that is humorous, even if that is satire or ironic. I don't think that everything is funny, but I think humor is a very deft way to talk about things. So yes, there is a way. I don't think everything should be made funny by everybody all the time. Like I don't ever mean to censor somebody else, but I think.
Well, let me throw an example to you that bothered me about something that you said in an interview when Daniel Tosh made a rape joke, right? And on a show that pushes the envelope regularly and decisively, definitively. And to me, as a white-ish male, the joke was funny. It wasn't nice, but it was funny. To you, it was like, he shouldn't have made that joke. But a woman, I can make that joke from my experience, etc.
But I've never said that.
Oh.
I think I may have been taken out of context, and I will try to, and I'm genuine about this because I hear what you're saying, but I've never actually said that. I think anybody should be able to make a joke about anything they want. I happen to think that Daniel Tosh's joke sucked. I've never said I don't think he should make it. In fact, I'm quite glad that he does, because I think the more he makes jokes that are not that thoughtful and play to a sycophantic crowd, the more he looks like an asshole, and the more his humor becomes irrelevant.
So, you don't want to censor him, but I have to say that I found the joke. I wasn't laughing, rolling on the floor, but the sheer outrageousness of it made me laugh, which is ding, ding, ding. For me, it was funny.
The joke you mean at the Laugh Factory when he did, wouldn't it be funny if she got raped right now?
That's a funny joke. I'm sorry. It's so outre. Yeah.
I'm not saying it's not funny for you. I fully understand and accept that comedy is subjective. All I wanted to do was say, I think his joke is lazy. I think it's not edgy, because I think there's a ton of dudes basically saying the same thing. And all I wanted to do was make different jokes about the same topic, and maybe even joke about how shit I thought his joke was. But I've never ever said he should make that joke, or Jim Jeffries, or any of those guys shouldn't make those jokes.
Okay, no, then I did misquote, or I did explain. I mansplained, perhaps, in saying that you were against making that joke. But you were certainly saying that a joke that I found funny, you didn't. But that happens all the time. That can happen with a knock-knock joke.
All the time, yeah.
So, actually, I can't think of any knock-knock jokes on the top. Otherwise, I would tell one. Shame on me. I need to keep my knock-knock jokes much handier. Let me ask you also, though, all right, what is, then, your favorite sick, outrageous joke? It could be one of your own, or one that you've heard over the years. It could be any horrible topic.
Any horrible topic.
Well, it could be rape, but that doesn't, that's your wheelhouse. It doesn't have to be there.
Oh golly. This is the kind of thing that happens when you get asked these questions on the spot. When I was a kid, I liked all those, weird dead baby jokes.
Oh, yeah.
There are jokes that I laugh at that I don't, that I kind of don't like, and am surprised to hear myself laughing, and I laugh at it. I can't think of any right now, Rabbi, because I feel suddenly on the spot.
No, but I love that you admit.
There are jokes that I wrote for my show that I think are funny, but I actually find too offensive not too offensive. I decided not to put them in my show. They seem too harsh.
Well, can we hear one, if you remember one?
Okay, I'm going to try and do one. I think it's unless you're doing your whole show, I think it is really easy to be able to really fuck up a joke in an interview. And
sure. No, we understand this is not the context of you in...
You want me to tell you one joke that I think is funny that I don't tell in my show that I wrote because I think it's pretty fucked?
Go for it, please.
Okay. I was at university, and I went to a speak out. I was walking home from work, and a woman described something that had happened to her, and she used the word rape, and I sort of stopped dead in my tracks, and I was like, what are you talking about? That happened to me. And I'd never used that word to describe what happened to me. And I was so stunned by the revelation, because it had happened recently. It was sort of that moment that you realize. And I was frozen. I was paralyzed. I couldn't move, which is truly the only reason I was still standing there when because I just didn't know how to move in my body, because I was, I guess, what they say, called triggered. That I was still standing there when another woman got up and described something that had also happened to me, that she also used the word rape for, and which I had never applied that word to that experience with me, because a lot of the times a woman doesn't want to think that that's happened to her. So anyway, there I was standing there, and I ran home to my best friend, and I was crying, and she was like, "What are you doing? What are you doing?" And I was like, "Oh my God, not to brag, but I've been raped twice." And she's like, "Jesus Christ, just now?" And I was like, No. It was a little while ago, but oh my God, what am I going to do? This is terrible. I'm a mess. And she's like, "What did you do? What did you do?" And I said, "Well, I'm not stupid. I got the fuck out of there before I found out I was raped 3 times.
That's funny. That is, it's a little harsh, yes. And any joke you make about rape, even a woman who was raped, making that. But no, that's funny. That should go in your next show. Or maybe in my show.
Have I?
Yes.
Yeah.
or maybe I should do the joke. I don't know if it would work for me. I don't. But here's a question then. We talked about the current climate that we're in. If you could sit down with Harvey Weinstein or Bill Cosby or me, and no touching, no violence, what would you tell them for like 5 minutes? If you had 5 minutes in a room with these peoples.
No violence?
A little violence, but nothing deadly.
Today I crave violent retribution. I know it's to no good end. That's what I crave. But, wow, what would I say to them? I don't even know if I'd sit in the fucking room with those guys.
Okay. Well, wait, you just said that you don't want women carrying guns to change the culture. Instead, we should tell men what to do. Now I'm giving you 5 minutes with men to tell them what the hell to do. No back, and you just want to club them to death.
It's not my fucking job anymore. It's not my job. I should not have to take any more time out of my life to tell some monster that he doesn't get to rape me anymore.
But that's exactly what you do in your act. Yeah. It's just you're sitting there with
because I enjoy doing that. It's my act. It's my art.
Yeah, but your art is really talking half to women, but also to the men in the audience who may not ever, God forbid, rape anybody, but who have perhaps aggressive tendencies, or they're repressing rape instincts, or they see a hot girl on the street and they don't call out, but in their minds they're going, woohoo. So you're talking to them, no?
Yeah. Yes, I do, and I talk to them regularly, and they come to my shows. And I would very willingly do my show for an audience of Harvey Weinstein, Bill Cosby, Louis C.K.
Oh God, Garrison Keillor. I mean, the list. Charlie Rose, right?
Those motherfuckers in a room and do my show for them, and then yell at them after the show, perhaps.
Okay, well, yelling is good. I yell all the time. That's very cathartic for me, I must say. So let me also say is because you deal in the stuff that you deal with, and you get women in your audience, how often after you do a show, you just want to sit in your dressing room, decompress, have a cup of tea, go home, and instead you got to take half an hour because some woman comes up to you and says, "I've never told this to anybody, but this happened to me," and she starts crying. Do you have to become therapist every time you do a show?
I decided when I was making this show that I would take time if anyone wanted to talk to me after the show. I just sort of decided if I was putting this type of material out into the world and people were taking, maybe a personal risk in coming to see it, that I would make myself available afterwards, because I thought some people are going to challenge me on doing this kind of material or seeming to be joking about it when it's, satire, and I thought, well, I should be able to answer for my jokes. If I decide to put them on stage, I should be able to defend them. And also some people, mostly women and occasionally men, come up and talk to me about having been assaulted. Sometimes they say that, like, having a weird chance to laugh at it is the first time they felt any kind of breakthrough.
Ooh.
I've had men come up and say that it made them question some of their past behavior.
That's good. Yeah. So I'm just saying.
I've had some pretty intense times after my show. Occasionally I have to remind myself to, like, take a second in the dressing room and say, like, not everyone who comes up to you after the show might be a nice person. Because every once in a while there's some guy who tries to come up and, like, start with a compliment and then says something really gross to me.
Ooh, okay.
I mean, thank God that has not happened very often, because I think by the end of the show, most guys are a little bit intimidated.
Yeah, happens at my sermons, I should say. But but here's the question I also want to ask you is, I don't want you, and you certainly don't want to be known as a one-trick pony. That is the title of your current show, because asking for it was very much about feminism and dealing with rape and rape culture, etc.
Yeah.
But now you wanted to turn around and do something different. You did that, right?
Yeah.
And you're still sort of expected on some level to be dealing with all that, but what did you put into your new show? Why is it different?
My new show just is not an hour of rape jokes,
right,
for one thing. And it's kind of like a much more absurdist show in the way that it is an homage to Andy Kaufman. I, in some ways, thought of some of my favorite things he did, and in that way that you wish you'd thought of it, but you didn't, so you can never do that material, and there's a sort of, like, pain in that. I tried to, like, steal as much of his material in a way that I think is funny, not really stealing it. So I kind of used a lot of his most memorable gags, like Mighty Mouse and wrestling, to sort of make the structure of my show, like ways that I could get away with almost doing his material. And that was kind of in the joke of a one-trick pony, the joke being like, what if she doesn't have anything after rape jokes? What if that's all she can joke about? But, it's sort of like all the tropes of comedy. I do some really funny storytelling. There's a lot of looping callbacks.
A lot of callbacks, you said?
Yeah.
Meaning, what do you mean by that? I'm sorry.
Like when you set up a joke and then, or you're doing a joke and you toss a few other things out there and everyone thinks they're just like irrelevant details, but like 20 minutes later you call back to it.
Oh, that's wonderful. Oh, those are the best. Those are absolutely the best. I did a one-person show a few years ago, and I said something horrible and terrible that wasn't particularly funny, but when I referenced it 15 minutes later, people were like, oh, that's
the best, right?
Isn't it? Oh, my God. So let me ask, how do you conceive of a bit? Do you start with a vague idea and then follow it, or do you suddenly get the punchline first in your head, or is there an effect, since you're very visual, that you go from and then you add the words to it? What's your process?
It kind of comes from all over the place, and that might be from my performance arty background. Like, I don't sit down for an hour a day and just like try to write jokes, and I know a lot of comics that do that as their practice. I feel like I'll see something in the world, and it either makes me laugh or makes me mad in that way that it's like you think it's funny because you're like, how fucked up is that? Sometimes a punchline comes to me right away, like the joke I told you that's not in my show. I don't know. Like that happened in real life.
Right.
Like that is what I said to my friend when I said not to brag, but I've been raped twice.
But it turned into a fun, even though it was true. It was a punchline that you then topped. Well, I got out of it before. I was raped three times in the past. Yeah. So.
So it's different ways. It doesn't all come to me the same way, but I do kind of know that, like, once there's kind of like I had really been thinking about Andy Kaufman and like how is he a comedian and I'm not, and what's the play between those different categories, and so something like So Andy Kaufman wrestled women. How much more feminist performance artist can you be than that? He was saying, like, we're equal. I'll wrestle you. I might lose, I might win. You know, and nobody knew if he was doing it as a joke or if he had lost his mind. And I thought, well, what would be the invert? Like, what would that be for me? And I was like, well, that would be me wrestling a guy from the audience, maybe at the end of my show.
Is that what you do? You get a guy? Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So this is another reason for everybody to go see... What? Did you notice that smooth segue there? The One Trick Pony at Joe's Pub on Friday evening, June 27th. And Joe's Pub is connected to the Public Theater on Lafayette Street downtown. And again, if you happen to miss it this time, it will be back on August 4th and September 23rd. Just have one or two more quick questions for the delightful Adrienne Truscott here in the Daverhood. And just for a moment, I do want to get a little bit personal and wonder, what is your home life? Do you have a partner? Are you dating? Do you have a commitment thing? Or are you just out there, etc. and so forth?
I do have a partner. His name is Carmine Cavelli. He's a drummer in the band The Julie Ruin.
Oh, it's always the drummers. The girls, I don't care how feminist you are, the girls go for the drummers. What can I tell you?
He drums for Bridget Everett in The Tender Moments, who you might have heard of. She's hilarious and often at Joe's Pub. And we've been together for like 16 years, I think it is now. And sometimes we work together, but he does a lot of his own projects. He's made a lot of video and audio content for my shows. And he is a great fucking guy. He's smart, and he's sweet, and he's really, like, open to learning about all the new shit you got to process in this new era of Me Too. You know.
Are feminists kind of disappointed that you are settled in a way with a man, that you're not out there as a lesbian or as a gender questioning? You are cis, as it were, for you're a woman who knows she's a woman is a woman, but but are people sometimes disappointed and they don't get, oh my God, you have a boyfriend for all these years?
Well, I hope they are, but I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I suppose I'm a cis straight gal at this point because the person I fell in love with is a guy. But I would identify more as bisexual. I haven't only and always spent time with men. And in terms of the art making, I think the art making I do is pretty queer. And my community of art makers that I adore and am influenced by and inspired by are pretty gender questioning and queer.
So you can be somewhat fluid, but within the confines of your personal life, you've got this great drummer fella.
Yeah.
Well, mazel tov.
Yeah.
Well, that's. But my only disappointment is with Carmine. Well, he's not Jewish. He couldn't make a nice Jewish boy. And
I think it's pretty safe to say he's Italian.
And you are? What's your background?
I'm pretty much English.
Ooh.
My mother's and all my background's English.
Well,
I was raised in the States, but.
And last question for you. You mentioned obviously your current show being very influenced by Andy Kaufman. Are there comedians, actors, performance artists whom you, if not idolize, but who are very important to you, either in growing up and becoming a performance artist yourself, or of recent vintage that you really look up to and have learned from?
Of recent vintage?
It could be, or of the past.
Yeah. Golly. I can tell you this. When I was little, I loved B. Arthur to the ends of the earth.
B. Arthur, yes!
That's an early one. When I saw B. Arthur as Maud, that was like, as a little kid, even though I didn't have the language for it, I was like, she's funny, she's a feminist, like, that's my chick. I still love her to this day.
Oh.
Recently, I was very thrilled by Michelle Wolf's performance at the White House Correspondents' Dinner.
Okay, you're kind of in the minority on that one, but all right, fair enough.
You what? I what?
You're sort of in the minority on that one. A lot of people were like, don't know, but okay.
Yeah, no, I was very happy she did it. Got in there and caused as much trouble as she could, and then got out.
And who else?
Oh my goodness. There's a comic named Desiree Birch, who I think is fantastic. She's mostly in London right now, an African-American woman who is like just fast and sharp as heck. I love Sarah Silverman. I think she's super smart.
And Jewish, by the way. I don't know if you knew that. But
Jewish,
yes.
and a nice Jewish girl, Rabbi.
Yes.
Murray Hill is one of my favorite comedians.
Oh, he's been around. He's a not drag. What do they call that? Male drag. What's the word for it?
Drag king or trans?
Drag king. That's it. Yes. Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah. Gosh. I guess not all my influences are comedic, but Andy Kaufman's a big one because he just pushed the envelope and confused everybody so deeply and put so much on the line for the thrill of doing that.
Well, we are thrilled and delighted that you, Adrienne Truscott, put things on the line to make comedy, to make art, to make performances. Again, go see her at Joe's Pub Friday night, June 27th. We thank you so much, Adrienne, for being with us in the Daverhood.
Thank you, Rabbi. It's been a delight to talk to you.
You too, and shalom to you.
Shalom.
The one and only Rabbi Sol Solomon talking to performance artist Adrienne Truscott here in the Daverhood. By the way, it's just after 11 o'clock Mountain Time here in Greeley, Colorado, from whence I, Potato, do the... See, I'm looking more and more like Potato. If I can show a sample. See? If you were from far away, I don't think you could tell the difference of which is the actual Potato, because I am in that transitioning mode. So if I take my arm away, I definitely have the whole Potato look going on. We'd love your comments on that. We'd love your comments on everything about Adrienne Truscott and Rabbi Sol and everything we do here in the Daverhood. Oops, there goes the hat. Every week on the Dave's Gone By radio program of the Facebook stream. Remember, you can email me, davesgoneby@aol.com, or message me here on Facebook, the Facebook page, Radio Dave Lefkowitz. Remember that you can see Adrienne Truscott at Joe's Pub on the 24th, and you can see Rabbi Sol Solomon at his website, shalomdammit.com. Shalom, D-A-M-M-I-T. Shalomdammit.com. Sorry, it's Adrienne Truscott on the 27th, not the 24th, at Joe's Pub. And at the Rabbi's website, you'll hear and read his rabbinical reflections. They're his mini sermons. So if you kind of like his style when he's interviewing, I think you'll love what he has to say about all sorts of topics at shalomdammit.com. Plus, he kept talking about, and I've been talking about, his one-man show. You can watch it, an early version of it, at his website. It's on YouTube. Just go to shalomdammit.com. And now here's a very special surprise. We have Rabbi Sol Solomon still with us. I know he just did the interview, but he's going to be our guest poet for the Colorado Limerick of the Damned. Usually I do them. And what we do is we take a town or a city in Colorado, and we do a short, well, limericks are short, 5 lines, short limerick, usually filthy and obscene, about that particular town. But I've been doing them every week. I needed a break, and Rabbi Sol has volunteered to take on this week's limerick, which is about Aurora, Colorado. So I just have to, I got to get our theme music going, and also angle the camera, because the rabbi's not properly dressed today. So he doesn't want to be on camera, but you will hear him doing our Colorado limerick of the Damned.
You're the poetry man.
A limerick is a comic verse of 5 lines, in which lines 1, 2, and 5 will end with words that rhyme, and likewise verses 3 and 4 also end with words that rhyme. So this is a limerick.
Rocky Mountain, Colorado, 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 Colorado.
I shall now begin the poem for the Colorado Limerick of the Damned, and our town today is Aurora. Aurora, Colorado. Ahem. A troubled young Jewess named Nora attended a shul in Aurora. She tied up the rabbi, the cantor, and gabbai, and sodomized them with a Torah. Thank you very much. Thank you, Rabbi Sol. Thank you very much for joining. Please send your complaint letters and everything else to, actually, shalomdammit at AOL.com. Don't send them to me. Shalomdammit at AOL.com for all things rabbinical and Solomonical. Well, we still have more to do on this episode of the show. We've got our Saturday segue of songs in the news, but one thing that we like to do every week is talk about the people who have been on our program in the past. You know, we call them the friends of the Daverhood. A little bit of music playing in the background there. For our friends of the Daverhood, like, for example, Adrienne Truscott is now a friend of ours, so we'll keep tabs on her when she's doing other shows, when she's doing her stuff in New York and creating other performances. Plus, Rabbi Sol, of course, is one of our oldest friends. He was on our very first show back in 2002. So here's some other information about the friends of the Daverhood for this Saturday, June 16th, 2018. Want to give hearty congratulations to our friend David Kale. His solo play. Now, he wasn't in it. Billy Crudup was in the show. But Harry Clark, off Broadway, won Best Solo Performance at 2 different awards, the Drama Desk Awards and the Outer Critics Circle. So congrats to David Kale and his solo show, Harry Clark. Want to let you know that, let's see, this weekend, if you happen to be in upstate New York, Croton-on-Hudson, the Clearwater Festival, features, among many others, Tom Paxton, and that is happening today and tomorrow up in Hudson, New York. And Paxton is one of the rare guests who's been on this program twice. He was on in 2016 and way back in 2004. We're incredibly proud to have him as a friend of the Daverhood. Also proud to have had Bob Calvin. He is a director, and he is staging a show called The Property. It's a dark comedy for New Light Theater Company that starts today, and it runs through the middle of July at the Harold Clurman Theater in Midtown Manhattan. Letting you know that this weekend, TJ and Dave are back. The long-form improv artists, TJ and Dave. You can see them at the Soho Playhouse on Van Dam Street. TJ Jagodowski and David Pasquesi, our friends. Tomorrow night at Feinstein's 54 Below, there's a tribute to Barbara Cook that's going to be featuring Christian Knoll and Kate Baldwin and our friend of the Daverhood, actress Rebecca Luker, who was on one of our Tony shows. That is happening tomorrow at Feinstein's. And then also tomorrow, if you happen to be in New Jersey, go see 2 of our friends, Vinnie Pastore and Uncle Floyd. They're both on the same bill, playing Joey Harrison's River House, which is this bar and grill that was reconstructed after Hurricane Sandy. That is in Forked River, New Jersey. So you can go see Uncle Floyd and get forked. That is tomorrow night, Sunday, in New Jersey. And then Monday, it's a Theater Development Fund Gala that's going to be honoring the guy who won all those Tonys a couple of days ago, Tony Kushner. But unfortunately, he's not a friend of the Daverhood yet. But the host of the show is Julie Holston. She was our guest here in 2013. That is Monday night, the TDF Gala. And then this Thursday, Neil Berg, he does all sorts of shows, usually about Broadway. But Neil Berg is doing his show Piano Men. It is a tribute to Billy Joel and Elton John, and it's happening at the Green Room on 10th Avenue Thursday evening. Or Thursday, you can go see our friend Martin Vidnovic doing his cabaret show, What Matters to Me. That is at Feinstein's 54 Below Thursday night. Or you can go to Prospect Park in Brooklyn and see Amy Mann for Celebrate Brooklyn. All of that happening on Thursday night. Then Friday, our musical friend of the Daverhood, Gary Lucas, is going to be playing at the Cutting Room with Jan, or it might be Jan Close, joining him. That is Friday evening. For some longer running things, we have Ruben Santiago Hudson. He is staging Othello for Shakespeare in the Park at the Delacorte Theater. That's a pretty big deal. Running now for just another week for free up in Central Park. Othello. Dakin Matthews, our friend of the Daverhood, he has a smallish role in The Iceman Cometh on Broadway. We talked about giving away that Iceman Cometh book at our Tony show last week. Well, Dakin Matthews, you can see him just till the beginning of July in The Iceman Cometh on Broadway. Now, if we were talking about New Jersey before, if you go to New Jersey, you can also see Donna McKechnie and Andre DeShields, two friends of the Daverhood, appearing in halftime at the Paper Mill Playhouse in Millburn. We talked about the band's visit. David Yazbek, man, he won all those awards, 10 awards for the band's visit on Sunday. So mazel tov to our friend David. And they've just put more tickets on sale to the band's visit. I mean, it's an open run, but they're now selling tickets through February of 2019. Also on Broadway from the season ago, A Bronx Tale, still running and still written by three of our friends, Chaz Palminteri, Glenn Slater, and Alan Menken. The musical Desperate Measures, that was so popular, they brought it back and now they're extending it. David Friedman is the composer on that at the York Theater in Manhattan. School of Rock, co-written by our friend Glenn Slater, that is at the Winter Garden Theater. La Chance, even though it didn't really get any nominations that I can recall, they did showcase Summer on the Tony telecast, Summer, the Donna Summer musical, and they certainly made our friend La Chance look great, so you can see that show at the Lunt Fontanne Theater. Daniel Breaker is in Hamilton on Broadway, if you can get tickets, at the Richard Rodgers Theater. Moving away from Broadway, remember that Jim Caruso does his cast party every Monday night at Birdland. If you're going online and looking for things to do in Manhattan, remember that StageBuddy.com, founded by our friend Evan, that is happening, well, all you have to do is check anytime, StageBuddy.com. And hey, Dr. Demento.com. He is still doing brand new Dr. Demento shows online only at drdemento.com. Give a shout out, real quick ones, to Charlie Gross and Leslie Hoban Blake. They were on our Tony show last week. Watch their show, Two on the Aisle, on Manhattan Neighborhood Network. And also our fellow friend Eva Heineman. She does high drama on the same network. It's both streamable, and I know Charlie and Leslie's show you can get on YouTube. So Two on the Aisle, high drama, both shows that review New York theater on and off Broadway, the great shows. And finally, reminder that Bob Cudmore does podcasts of upstate New York history at bobcudmore.com. And my wife is tickling my potato costume. Woo! I guess that's time for me to thank all the friends of the Neighborhood. Yay! Tickle, tickle, tickle. Well, they can't see my socks on the on here. So what else we have a couple more things to do. We've got our Saturday segue of songs in the news to play for you. That's a lot of fun. We do that every week. But before then, you can bring the kids back to the radio. Adrienne happens to be on. I think she's actually watching the show with us, as is Karen and Juan and Howard and John and Mary Jo and Glynis and Jeffrey and all those wonderful people who've been listening to the program. Oh, I've got my hat tag on. And for those of you who don't understand, I am wearing, it sort of looks like a taco now when I wear this hat, but it's actually a potato costume, and quite a beautiful one at that. But now, the F words, we promise not to use too many of them now, because it's story time. It's time to tell the story, as we have been doing for weeks on freaking end. A cow for Hansel.
Tell me a story, tell me a story, tell me a story. Remember what you said. You promised me, you said you would. You gotta give in, so I'll be good. Tell me a story, then I'll go to bed.
If you've been listening to this program, you know that I got this book in the bin at a gas station when I was having my brake pads realigned. And this was amidst all the newspapers and the automotive magazines and the Dr. Seuss books.
That's where all great literature arises.
All great literature does come from the gas station where I have my brakes done. So I found this, and I couldn't resist it because it seems like it was written in 1850. It wasn't. It was actually written in 1967. It says here by Ernie Holyer, but they malified her name. Speaking of feminist issues and all that, it's Erna Holyer is the actual author, but it's kind of a boys' book, so in order to sell it, they changed the name. Anyway, we've been telling the thrilling story of little Hansel, who is this very fine proto-Nazi-esque German boy who works for a poor but he's a poor kid, his family's poor but very loving, and a cattle disease has wiped out all the cows in their little town of Oberhausen, so they want to buy a new cow. The whole damn book is about raising money. That's Irish. To buy. Oh, you're gonna. Oh, good. I have sound effects from my wife on this one. I don't usually get that, so this is so cool. And here's the Ooga horn if you need it. Oh, and since it's cattle, we might need the bell. Ding, ding, ding went the bell. All right. So far, this book has been obsessed with every other animal but cows, because Hansel was gored in the tush by a goat. And then last week, a terrifying thing where, Hansel is working on another farm locally to make money, because that farmer has more money and more land, and Hansel has volunteered to take a small parcel of that land, work it for free, as long as his family can have the potato crop coming off it. But the problem with that land is it's been very arid and hardly arable. And just last week, Hans was attacked by a wild boar.
Wait, hold on.
The psycho pig that was protecting its actual little piglets, including a dead piglet in the field. So, this is going to be great with the sound effects. So that's where we left it last time, that Hans was able to drive the pig away and the wild boar and his piglets and go back to farming this little parcel of land. So we're going to just have a short passage here from, we're more than halfway through this book, I promise. A Cow for Hansel. So when we last left off, when summer came, the farmers' children exchanged their books for rakes and forks and took pride in working with the adults. Haying time. Haying time had begun. From June on, the odor of freshly cut hay could be smelled everywhere. Is there a smell? Wagons loaded with hay rumbled into the village. Rumble, rumble, rumble. And busy farmers often were compelled to stay up late into the night unloading hay so they could use their wagons the first thing in the morning. Now, the Kaiser family, this is the family that Hans is working with for a few houses down from his own farm. The Kaiser family worked especially hard. Weariness and strain were beginning to show on every member of the family. We have to get more help, Father, said Sepp, voicing the family's feelings. Now, Sepp is the actual son of Mr. Kaiser. Hans is just working there. I know we need more help, but where could we get help in the middle of the summer? Mr. Kaiser shrugged. Even if we did find somebody, we couldn't pay them until fall, mostly. An idea suddenly struck Hans. Maybe Frau Braun could help us. Doesn't say that she's Eva Braun, but you have to wonder. Frau Braun could help us. That little woman? Mr. Kaiser frowned. We could try her out, Mother Kaiser suggested. I wonder. She could milk in my place, and that would leave me free for field work, Sepp chimed in. And you could work her... and you could work her in for next year. Well, I won't be here, grandmother, added Stacy. Now, she's the daughter. She's getting married, so she can't work on the farm anymore. It looks as though I don't have much of a choice, Mr. Kaiser conceded with obvious reluctance. Mother Kaiser appointed herself the task of asking Mrs. Braun to help on the farm. So that evening, when Mr. Kaiser came home from work, he asked, "What did Frau Braun say? Will she be able to work?" She said, "It wouldn't be proper for a widow woman to work on a widower's place," replied Mother Kaiser. This has absolutely nothing to do with what's going on. Oh, this is that German temper here. No. What does she mean, proper? Mr. Kaiser exploded. She's proud. I think that if you want her to come and help, you will have to go and ask her yourself. Mother Kaiser busied herself at the stove. Me? Go and ask her? Mr. Kaiser inquired with apparent indignation, and then added resignedly, well, and strode out of the house and down the street toward the Braun house. Next morning, after the paper delivery, Frau Braun began work at the Kaiser farm. You think Mr. Kaiser slipped through a little bit of the, do you know what?
The bratwurst.
The rutabaga, yeah, the word. An agreement was reached.
Oktoberfest, yeah.
That's right, Cocktoberfest. An agreement was reached whereby Frau Braun got all the dairy products, flour, and eggs necessary to feed her family. Her wages were to be paid in full after the harvest. In the meantime, she would use the paper route money for meeting expenses. Small though she was,
so detail-oriented.
I know, right? Mrs. Braun's helped make a big difference on the farm. She worked hard and cheered everybody with her ready smile and friendly words.
Whatever.
Even stern Mr. Kaiser seemed to be glad to have her around for a while. Oh, I wonder if this is building towards something here. Before dawn, while the widow Braun was delivering the morning paper with her son, Sepp and Hans would march out to the fields with scythes and cut the dewy grass around the meadow's edges. Later on in the morning, they would use the mowing machine. Stasi had the job of pushing the cart to the dairy these busy mornings. Stasi, that's it, yeah. Go find that would be the East German police name later on. Later in the morning, she and the widow Braun would join the boys and spread out the cut hay for drying. The hay cuttings, isn't this fascinating? The hay cuttings from the day before, which had been raked into long windrows. You know, when one windrow closes, another opens. Now had to be spread out a second time. 2 hot sunny days and much turning were required to dry the hay so it could be stored in the barn without fear of spoilage. The hard work put calluses on Hans's hands and made his muscles hard and strong. The sun tanned his skin until he looked like an American Indian. 1967, okay. A thunderstorm brought a change in the weather. Gray clouds hung low along the mountains, and on such cool days, the boys hoed in Mr. Kaiser's potato fields. The summer was a good one for the Bavarian farmers. Their silos and haymows were filled to the brim. It was as if God wanted to make up for the losses the farmers had suffered on account of the hoof and mouth disease. Yeah. Oberhausen's potato crop developed well. Yay! Yay! Happy, happy. Mr. Kaiser allowed Hans to take time off to harvest his field first so that he could borrow the community-owned potato digger. Do we have a community-owned potato digger in our neck of the woods, babe? Oh, there it is. So we just go, out they come. There we go. Thank you so much. Before the other farmers needed that machine. Sepp and Stasi helped Hans with his potato picking. So you're in this so much potato today. That's why I'm wearing the potato costume, see? Hans's heart rejoiced at the sight of his big crop. I assume that's not a metaphor. Furrow after furrow turned out beautiful yellow potatoes.
There you go.
Which eventually became these. Well, not really from Cape Cod. Okay. God had answered Hans's prayer about what he had asked. Sideboards had to be fitted to the 2 wagons in order to carry out the crop. Wow. Now Hans felt sure he could get a young cow with a calf. as he had been hoping.
Moo. Moo.
2 wagon loads of sorted tubers this early in the season would probably command top prices, he speculated. Early on market day, Hans hitched the horses to the first wagon. He had been wondering whether Mr. Kaiser would let him use his horses to haul the produce to market, but he needn't have. Mr. Kaiser readily agreed, providing Sepp went along. A Cow for Hansel by Erna Holier. Oh boy, such a happy end to this chapter. You know, this chapter started with Hans being attacked by a wild pig, and it ended with him having loads and loads of beautiful potatoes. I'm spent. I'm just can't believe we still have another 20-25 minutes of show left.
You have less because we got to get out in the car.
Well, yes, I know, but that's why we're keeping. Well, it's another reason why we're keeping our musical passages kind of short when we do our Saturday segue of songs in the news. And by the way, welcome to Mary Jo and John and Howard and Juan and Adrienne and Karen and Tom and all the other folks. Not a lot of messages today, but a lot of people tuning in to see the Dave's Gone By episode. We're thrilled to have you. And now it's sort of a little bit interactive. Now, you got a job to do. Because I've been working hard. I've been at this for 2.5 hours. Now it's your turn, because I'm going to play some songs or parts of some songs. And your job, should you choose to accept it, and I'm sure you will, is to listen to the parts of the songs that I'm going to play, and you have to say, hey, why is Dave playing that? What happened in the news or current events or is going to happen in the week ahead that made Dave think of this song? Is it in the title? Is it who's singing it, who's performing it? Is it the theme of a song as a whole? That's your job. So you get to enjoy a little bit of the music and do a little bit of brain power work for this segment. It's called the Saturday Segue of Songs in the News. Let us begin by going far, far away, courtesy of the one and only Tom Waits. Okay, there's our first one. It's Tom Waits' number from his classic album Rain Dogs. I'm gonna use the.
It's the guy who got fired.
Who's that?
Manford, the Trump guy who got fired.
Oh, Manafort, who got put in jail.
Yes.
What does that have to do with Singapore?
Oh, I thought he was saying say goodbye to me.
Oh, you must say goodbye to me. I'll accept that answer because Paul Manafort.
You must say goodbye to me.
Yeah, he's in jail right now. He was the guy who chaired Donald Trump's election.
Singapore might be signed for some sex stuff that happens in jail.
Oh, okay. I was going much more directly with that one.
Singapore?
Singapore is where Donald Trump met Kim Jong-un in their summit. It actually happened.
Did you see the video he made for him?
Oh, my God. I mean, tell. No, I'll tell. So, apparently it went well, and Donald Trump was shaking Kim Jong-un's hand, and he even created, or had people create, a Hollywood-style docu-video telling Kim Jong-un, look, if you make peace, if you work with us, things will go well, and you'll be a hero to your people. And everybody's making fun of this, and everybody's making fun of Donald Trump, saying we're having peace in our time, and they're denuclearizing, and everything's going to be wonderful. And of course that's bullshit, but at the same time, what would you rather? Would you rather have them sending horrible, angry, insulting tweets back and forth, and being on the edge of nuclear war instead? Talking is better than fighting. Talking is better than Kim Jong-un sending up nuclear tests over Japan. So make fun all you want. A meeting, a handshaking, a 4 or 5 hour conversation is better than a lot of other alternatives. So let's just take it for what that was, as a nice, good moment. And if that gives Fox News some pride and talking points, fine. Let it, okay? I'd rather be talking. Anyway, by the way, welcome to Karen and Tom and Glenn and my oldest friend in the world, Ozer. Hello, Ozer. Ozer, wish my darling wife a happy birthday. Yay. Joyce's birthday today. Okay, we're doing our Saturday segue of songs in the news. Now you know how it works. Your job then is to figure out why I'm playing the songs in this particular segue. Here's our next one, and it comes from an off-Broadway show.
Oh, you don't think I know the most about protocol, do you? Fine, I'll give you a demonstration. But first, let me accidentally pocket dial the chief so he can overhear this. Protocol says, be strict, keep your cool or you'll be licked. Never look weak, never look hurt, never look a thing except alert. Protocol says...
Okay, a song there from the, what year was that? That was actually the 2013 off-Broadway cast of Murder for Two, featuring Jeff Blumenkrantz and Brett Ryback. It was a two-person musical, and apparently it was a lot of fun. I wish I had gotten to see it. But that song was called Protocol Says. Protocol Says. Why would we have played that on Dave's Gone By today? Joyce, you want to take a shot?
I don't know.
No? Okay. Well, it has to do with the Justice Department coming up with a 500-page report released on Thursday, 2 days ago, that showed that former FBI Director James Comey was, well, he wasn't politically biased, and he wasn't trying to get Hillary Clinton elected. He kind of did the opposite. But he was, quote, insubordinate and frequently broke from protocol in the Hillary Clinton investigation into all those emails. So, and of course, Trump and the right wing take that as, well, see, I didn't do anything wrong, and see how the Democrats have hanging against me, which is not really what the thing said. It just said that in a lot of ways he kind of went in and around the rules, which he shouldn't have done at times, but there was no point at which it was, motivated by reasons that could be really, really bad. Anyway, that's why we played from Murder for Two, Protocol Says, from the 2013 off-Broadway cast. And now, let's hear from a friend of the Daverhood from a couple of years back. Maybe you'll get this one. This was, of all the thrilling, shocking news of this week, this was just, oh my God.
It was harder than the table, so I thought it was my plate. I hit it with a hammer, but it wouldn't even break. It slipped upon some syrup and the butter ricocheted. Then it rolled and it rolled and it rolled and it rolled, a disappointing pancake.
Okay, my wife is looking at me like I'm a loon for playing that, but that's Lisa Loeb from her album Camp Lisa, like a children's song. And yes, it's called The Disappointing Pancake. That's a big hint, babe. It's in the song title.
I don't know.
Oh my God, what happened? What happened this week? That was so terrifying and so humongous, but turned out to be not so.
It was a bad pancake at your diner?
No.
What?
No. And it scared me. And it threw me for a moment. IHOP. You did not hear about this. IHOP, the International House of Pancakes, teased for a couple of weeks that they were going to change their name to IHOB.
Hob for what?
Now, I assumed it was going to be International House of Breakfast.
Yeah.
So they flipped the P into a B, like
that.
IHOB.
Yeah.
But no, you can't change IHOP. You can't do that. It's been around for dozens of years. You can't just change it like that to IHOB.
Okay.
It's horrible.
Was it a joke?
Well, what they did change it to was International House of...
Potato?
No. Oh, that would be beautiful.
Breakfast?
It'd still be IHOP then. Breakfast was the one I thought. That would have made sense. No, not Bialys, not bagels.
Poached egg.
Nope. Buh with a B. IHOB.
Bruschetta?
Bruschetta would have been good. International House of... No, burgers. They're trying to tell people that IHOP is generally open for lunch and dinner. So they serve breakfast all day, of course, but they want people coming in for other things. So people were up in arms. They're like, how can you... Look, and hash browns and things like that. So it turned out to be just a temporary marketing gimmick. And it worked. It got everybody talking about IHOB, which nobody liked. I mean, I'm sure the burgers are pretty good there. I'm just saying, my idea is if you're going to change the name and you're going to have a restaurant, how's this, babe? How do you like this for a restaurant name? The American Super Special House of Lunch Excellence. I think you get what the acronym is. The American Super Special House of lunch. Excellent. Yes, he is asshole. Wouldn't you like to eat at the asshole, ladies and gentlemen?
Many of us do.
And you can take the food out the back and everything. All right, ladies and gentlemen. I wish I weren't playing this one. Got to play something kind of sad-ish here on Dave's Gone By in our Saturday Segue. Now, this is just a weird, kind of sad coincidence. Sometimes I go on iTunes and I look for stuff I want to listen to, music that I'm into by bands that I know, but lesser-known records by them. So, for no particular reason, I'm like, I know I'm not a huge Fleetwood Mac fan, but we all know Rumors. We all know Tusk. Tuck. And I thought, let me hear some of these old Fleetwood Mac albums before then. Like Killing House and Bare Trees and things like that. I just felt like listening to it. Wouldn't you know, it was one of those prescient weeks where a day later, out of the blue, we got word that Danny Kirwan, I may be mispronouncing his name, but Danny Kirwan, one of the early Fleetwood Mac members, the guitarist, he left before they hit it enormously huge. But he was on a lot of their early albums. He was on Then Play On, Killing House, Future Games, and then Bare Trees. Unfortunately, he was a difficult character, and he had a lot of substance abuse stuff. He was also mentally ill, possibly from a bad acid trip. People discounted that later, but some folks said that it was one terrible acid trip that he took that ruined his mind forever. But anyway, he was even homeless for a period of time in the 80s and 90s, but I guess pulled himself out of that. Unfortunately, he died on June 8th. It was actually not last week. It was before we did the Tony Show, but I didn't get a chance to mention it. He was age 68, so a farewell to Danny Kirwan. So if you like that early, more bluesy Fleetwood Mac, but he brought in a melodic side to it, farewell to Danny Kirwan of Fleetwood Mac. And then, very different kind of music. Why on earth, and I almost never play this person, why would I play this today?
Wanting, needing, waiting for you to justify my love.
Not a song you're going to hear very often on the Dave's Gone By radio program. Why would I play that old Madonna track on that? Can you believe we would call Madonna an oldie at this point? But, hon, any idea why I would play Justify My Love from Madonna?
Because they won't let you make a cake for gay people?
Oh, gosh. No, this is a much happier reason. And by the way, before I forget, the Danny Kirwan song we played was called Sunny Side of Heaven, rather appropriate, from the Bare Trees album. It's a song that he wrote and plays guitar on. But any idea on Justify My Love? Well, my love, Justify, last Sunday, won the Triple Crown. He let me make sure I get those races right. 13th Triple Crown winner in history. He won the Kentucky Derby, the Preakness, and it was not Sunday, it was Saturday, June 9th. He won the Belmont Stakes. And so this is really cool. Our mutual friend Ed Rubin sent me a joke about this. Are you ready? Triple Crown winner Justify just turned down an invitation to visit the White House. Asked why, the Triple Crown winner said, "Hey, if I wanted to see a horse's ass, I would have finished second." Ba-dum-bum. Oh, I could use the noise machine then. But anyway, Justify, the interesting thing is the only, that's a great shot.
Yeah.
Justify is the second horse to win the Triple Crown while being undefeated in all his other races. He's a pretty young horse. So congratulations, of course, to Justify. And then got two more quick numbers to play in our Saturday Segue of songs in the news. This one, well, you'll recognize the voice instantly. And I send this out to, well, the men in the audience. I know it's been a very women-oriented show, but this one's for the guys.
Dear old dad, we love you so.
Dear old dad, we are glad to be here with you.
Any thoughts on that one, Beb? Father's Day, which is tomorrow. June 17th. So yeah, do something nice for your pop, or if he's out of your life, then remember him, because hey, Father's Day. Did you know that Father's Day, it took forever? Like Mother's Day was around much longer than Father's Day, but the idea started back in the Middle Ages as St. Joseph's Day, and in Latin America they still celebrate it in March. It was, can you guess the year that it really became a law, an official American holiday in the United States, babe?
1980.
Very close. Mm-hmm. Nixon signed it into law back in 1972.
Yeah.
After years of, for various different reasons, if you look on Wikipedia, didn't happen. But finally Nixon did it in 1972. So that's why we played Groucho Marx doing, and with the Ken Lang Singers doing Father's Day on Dave's Gone By. We got one more in our Saturday segue of songs in the news. See if you can guess why we're playing this.
On darkened streets tonight, I see a simple time. I see the warning light, and the summer comes undone.
A little bit of Yola Tango there. Very cool band. So, da 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 da, and the...
Summertime? Oh, it's summer.
It will be.
Yay.
Because this Thursday, June 21st, begins actual summer. And you can tell it's summer because we went to, like, it was either TJ Maxx or Kohl's or a place, and we were looking for, like, summer towels and stuff. And it was already off-season because they were starting to stock for fall. So, you know, if summer hasn't even begun yet, it's actually summertime for real happening. The real sad part for me, and I talk about this all the time, is, you know, as of Thursday, the days are going to start to get shorter again. I went swimming yesterday at 7:30 in the evening outdoors, and it was still light out when I was done at like 20 after 8. I will miss that in a couple of weeks, and maybe you will too. But anyway, that's why we played the song The Summer from a compilation album called Prisoners of Love, a Yola Tango compilation. The song goes back to 1990. And that is our Saturday segue of songs in the news on this episode of the Dave's Gone By radio program of the stream, live here on this Saturday, June 16th, 2018. It was our 655th episode of the show. We've called it A Matter of TRUS, in honor of our guest, Adrienne Truscott, who was with us before, talking to Rabbi Sol. Remember to see her June 27th, off Broadway at Joe's Pub. She's doing one show then, but then she'll be back later in the season. She'll actually be on August 4th and September 23rd. If you heard that interview, you're going to want to see her live at Joe's Pub on Lafayette Street on June 27th. Remember that Sol Solomon's website is shalomdammit.com. Shalom, D-A-M-M-I-T, shalomdammit.com, and that is a place to read his rabbinical reflections, watch his TV show, even see his one-man stage show, shalomdammit.com. Let's see, do I have to thank anybody else? I've got big thank you to Matt Davis, one of the former general managers here at UNC, was giving me some advice about how to do this podcast and make it even better. Some advice that I might actually take in the weeks ahead. We will see. And thank you all so much for listening. We intend to be back here next Saturday, which will be, I think, June 24th. I can't add sevens. Never was good at adding sevens, but it'll be next Saturday, 9 to noon, Mountain Time, here in the Radio Daverhood. Let's see. I don't know who the guest is. May have a guest, may not. I know we have some interesting guests coming up in the Daverhood in the weeks ahead. Best way to find out is to go to davesgoneby.com or just check this Facebook page. Make sure you like us, follow us, see us first on Facebook. Message me here or email me davesgoneby@aol.com. davesgoneby@aol.com. Do a quick shout out to our sponsors, Hewlett Minuteman Press, the copy kings of Broadway in Hewlett, Long Island. You get 10% off any job, big or small, any copy job, if you just tell them Dave sent you at Hewlett Minuteman. They're right in the heart of Hewlett, about 2.5 blocks from the LIRR station, and across the street from the humongous Petco that's there. And they do big jobs, small jobs, great work, great people, the Toron family of Hewlett Minuteman Press. They are the copy kings. Well, I've been waiting to play this because Joyce just left the room, but she'll be back while this is playing. This is, it is her birthday, so I wish her a tremendous and loving and happy birthday. And so in her honor, I'm going to be playing one more tune to take us out of here. I'm in sort of a conundrum here, because if I start the song, I've got to pot it down, or else, well, actually, it's the end of the show. So if Facebook crashes on me, it's okay, because it's the end of the show anyway. So thank you very, very much for watching and listening. Tell your friends about the show. Tell everyone you know about the show, and that we're here every Saturday, and that the archives are at davesgoneby.com. So let's go out with the one and only Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five with Hey, the Birthday Party and Gone By.
Hold it! Yeah, that's us. We band, we back. And we want y'all to know we getting into a birthday thing. Now I want everybody to put your hand up in there if you got a birthday. Now I don't care if it already came or if it already done passed. Now everybody say happy!